Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 518, recorded March 6, 2025. On tonight's episode, listen, I don't really care what we're doing on tonight's episode because our good friend, one of our favorite guests of all times, Rogers Base, is joining us. So what are we going to do? We're going to talk Nintendo Switch 2 rumors. We're going to talk Donkey Kong shoes. We're going to talk One Piece. I don't know. We're going to talk whatever we want to talk. But this is Nintendo Dads. And Jesse, cue the music.
What is up, everybody? It's episode 518. It is March the 6th, 2025, and we are inching closer and closer by the day to that sweet, sweet Nintendo Switch 2 news that we're all craving so badly. Joining me on the show this week is our usual cast of characters, minus Tim, unfortunately. Tim's got a lot going on right now in his life, and Tim, we're thinking about you. Just know that you're in our thoughts, and he probably is mad that I even said that because he doesn't want people to know, but that's okay. Lots going on. But also joining us on the show this week, one of our very favorite guests to have on the show. Always exciting, always excited. Roger from Rogers Base. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. I always just like talking to you guys. We were talking right before the show started. I'm like, I have been in contact, obviously, with Jesse since like my YouTube channel, even.
I think we met we met in like 2010. I think
it was like 2010. Maybe even like 2009. Well, we met in person in 2010, but like we knew of each other through 2009. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the Wii Minds.
Literally back in the Wii Minds, exactly. And going through the whole Wii U generation and everything. And now, obviously, I've gotten to know Justin and Marty over the years. But it's just a pleasure to be back. I'm going to be paying up on a bet that I made all these years ago. I'm excited to talk about that. Actually, well, it's we'll see. We'll get there when we get there. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But man, we're excited to have you on the show. Jesse, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. Again, Thursday is one of my gym days, and they work my arms really good, and which means Saturday is going to be leg day, and that's going to hurt.
Saturday's my leg day too.
Don't skip leg day. Don't skip it.
No,
yeah.
Can't skip
John 678 in the chats, and Aaron Ferguson both say Nakama.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Also, the man who never skips leg day, Justin Masson. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm excited to let you know that Justin Masson, for all you Patreon paying folks, will now cost you 25% more in tariffs as I'm broadcasting into your great country. So just make sure that you're increasing the value, Great to be here, folks. There's no tension at all.
We're going to give you a 25% increase on that salary of $0.
Oh, good. I appreciate that,
Richard. We're very generous.
Yeah, I'm going to charge you 25%. And you're going to countercharge me 20%. This is how a tariff war begins, ladies. I appreciate it. Man, I'm excited to be here. I mentioned earlier we're running a bit late. I had to step in on dad duty, and I got to do some sushi making classes with my daughters tonight, which was super exciting. My wife wasn't feeling great, so stepped in. That was just really exciting. Free time, great moment to spend together. So it was good.
Yeah. So can we talk about dad duty for just a minute?
Yeah,
I've got to do something like that tomorrow. My wife and I are taking my daughter prom dress shopping.
Oh, fun!
Can I just be real honest with you? I don't want to do it. I want to do it. No, I want to do it, but I don't want to do it because it's the acknowledgement of growing up.
The kid that they're growing up,
and that's hard. Yeah,
I feel that. I
mean, she's 16. She's going to her first big girl prom, and I'm not ready for that. It was hard enough for me to let her drive off on her own.
Oh, sure.
The first time, like my son, I was like, yeah, man, go run through a wall. I don't care. But her, I'm like, oh, it's my baby girl. I don't want, it's tough, man. Like it's funny how, and I know that folks out there who have or parenting and going through different stages will relate to this. You always think the current stage of parenting that you're in is the hardest.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. But I don't know anything that compares to raising teenagers.
Yeah.
It's been
That
wild.
that is peak weird.
It
Yeah.
is. It's
I can
weird and
attest to
it's
that.
scary
Sure.
and it's expensive all at the same time.
I
But I
I
love
don't
like yesterday she was like, Dad, I want to go all the places with like the budget dresses. Like I want to go to the thrift stores. I
nice.
want to go here, and I'm like,
Smart.
yes,
At least
You're like,
yes,
heck
I
yeah,
like
this is
that.
good. All right, let's
At
keep
least she
going.
has her head in place. And
That's
that,
good. Very good.
Marty, I feel that with you on that as well. I don't know if I share with this group. My oldest Rylan is going to New Zealand
Oh
in the
man.
middle of April for 2 weeks for a rugby
Wow.
Holy
tour.
cow!
Wow. Okay.
And like I have anxiety about sending her like to halfway around the world and
Sure.
not being there. Like it's with a school trip. It's gonna be awesome. There's all the chaperone, but like
Sure,
the level of anxiety that I have
Oh
around
yeah.
that. But also to your point, there's a symbolization of like you're like almost 17. Like this is part of
yeah,
your going out and
yep.
exploring and being part of the
My
world. And so,
y'all,
ugh,
we're about a month away from my son turning 18.
Oh
wow.
man.
I
Wow.
know, and you know what he wants to do? You know what he wants to do for his 18th birthday? I
What
love
does he
this.
wanna
He's
do?
like, we're getting all my friends together, and we're gonna go. Well, I'll tell you his first plan, then I'll tell you his second plan. His first plan is like, we're gonna get all my friends together, and we're gonna go see the Minecraft movie in the theater, and we're going to go to Popeyes.
Not where I thought it was going at all.
No,
I thought
So
it
we're
was
gonna
like,
go
yeah,
to
we're gonna get our
Popeyes.
friends together. We're gonna bring our switches and we're going to the strip club. Let's go.
No.
Right.
switch from
That's a different kind of Joy-Con drift, is what that
yeah,
is.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
Different,
so
different
now,
waggle motion.
now he's come back and he's like, we're not going to Popeyes. We're going to Wingstop.
There you go. All right.
And
Hey,
I'm
look,
like, hey, listen,
Wingstop and Minecraft. There's a level of innocence there that's still quite nice. So I
he's
think
so
that's good. Hang on to
he
it.
is jazzed about the Minecraft movie.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, we did the Mario movie with him when it came out because it was
Nice.
right around the same time for his birthday. Took all his friends. We're gonna do the Minecraft movie. I can't wait to
Well,
do this. But man,
did you guys see the Sonic 3 movie recently?
yes,
It was good, right?
No.
I missed that. I missed
Oh, you missed
I
it.
thought
It's streaming now on Paramount
not,
Plus.
not only
Good.
is it the best one, but even
Yeah.
standalone, I thought it was
I thought it was good.
good.
I agree.
I don't have
I know,
Paramount
I'm the same way.
Plus. Hopefully it gets to Netflix sometime soon.
You need
Marty
to check it out.
Will. I think the first one was at one point. Yeah.
Yeah. Marty, what's the age in your state where they're an adult?
So that'll be 18.
Oh, is it 18?
But recently there's been some push like to move back. Like it used to be that you could you could buy cigarettes at 18. You know, it's like that's the thing you get when you get 18. You
Yeah,
can
now-
smoke and
now you-
ruin your
now you can't
lungs.
until 21.
But now you can't do that until you're 21. So it's
Sure.
the same thing for alcohol and that. So really all he gets is he gets to register for the draft.
See, I've always
Lucky
found
him.
that fascinating that you could join the army before you could have a drink. I feel like that should
Yeah.
be the same. I feel like
Yeah, I
cigarettes, I,
agree. I
understand
agree
being
with
pushed
that.
to 21. I don't mind the push to cigarettes to 21, but alcohol, I feel, especially like before going into college, I think it is almost smart to like make it 18 where then like you can have drinks with your parents and stuff beforehand. So you know
Yeah,
what your
you can
tolerance
figure out what
level
this is like. I
Yeah.
100% agree.
If you can represent our country and go fight wars overseas,
You can go
damn
take
well
a
better
bullet,
be able
but
to
you
have a
can't take a
beer.
shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm
It's a
saying.
different kind
That's
of shot. You
insane.
can't take.
Insane.
What,
Insane.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're 10 minutes in and we're already here. We're
good.
we're
This is
pulling
it,
it
'cause
back
we're
on the
vibing.
rails
It's
right now.
good.
This is
Hey,
my
here's what we're
favorite
gonna
time
do.
to have Roger on. I love this already.
Absolutely. So here's what we're gonna do. We
Yes.
have what Pooh Bear might call a smattering, a smackerel of news this week, and so we're gonna hit that. And so head on over to news right now. Let's go.
All right.
I don't know why I was like, right now, let's head over to the news because like we can't do it unless that music plays. It's like we can't have any news.
Well, before we do the news, I want to do a quick announcement. Thank you to Happy Jack for reaching out to me regarding the episode a few weeks back when I wasn't in a good mental state. Appreciate your positive comments and encouragement.
Absolutely.
Nice.
We've got a great community.
Hmm.
Fantastic.
You guys do.
And you can be part of that community over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. Our news is brought to us each and every week by the fine folks over there in our Discord, hanging out on the Patreon page and keeping the lights on over here at Nintendo Dads HQ. Huge thanks to all of our patrons for helping us create more content and keeping things going. And again, a little as $1 a month to get you in over there to the Discord. $5 gets you the full slate of sub channels. $10 pre and post show audio. $30 you become a producer on the show. You get to come on the show. You get to create content with us. Just really, really cool. So again, patreon.com/Nintendo Dads is where you go to get all that. And you also get an ad-free feed of the show, which is really the best part.
Nice.
You get no ads over there. You get your own feed. Yeah, we thank you so much. And if you're a Twitch Prime, or you subscribe to Amazon Prime, you've got that Twitch subscription in there for free. You can throw it our way. You get it in the Discord too. All right. Let's talk some headlines. Mario Day is coming up very soon in 4 days. And Nintendo has got a few things planned for it. And I would encourage you to celebrate accordingly on Mario Day. A couple of things.
That's right.
Yeah. Celebrate responsibly. A couple of things that were announced this week for Mario Day. We've already talked about a few of these, but we wanted to bring them to everybody's attention. Number one is that brand new OLED model of the Nintendo Switch is out with Mario Wonder as the bundle game and 12 months of NSO. That's available for $349.99. You're basically getting the game and 12 months of online for free, which is a really good deal. Especially if you consider the fact that you get the games through those as well, the NSO games. So lots to play there. Also, selected games will be discounted to $39.99 starting on March 9th. And that includes Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario 3D World, and Bowser's Fury, Super Mario RPG, Princess Peach Showtime, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, and Mario vs. Donkey Kong will be $29.99.
Also, got a good shout out. March 9th is my birthday, my 35th birthday.
Wow.
It's going to be March 9th. So look at that big happy little Mario thing for Roger's Base's 35th birthday.
They put all those games on sale for you.
Just for me. That's why. That's right.
Yeah. So there's that. Good time to pick those up if you don't already have them. Also, Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo will be available at select retailers that day, including Best Buy, Walmart, and Target. And that pushes forward the initiative that Nintendo announced recently that Alarmo was about to be available for all, not just NSO subscribers.
Yep.
There's also going to be a Super Nintendo World Sweepstakes for a chance to win a trip for 4 to Orlando. JetBlue Airbus A320 will be decorated with Mario and friends. And also beginning tomorrow and running through the 17th or today, if you're hearing this audio version, March 7th through the 17th, there will be a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Challenge event, challenging players to complete 1 million combined laps in the game. Players that participate, if the goal is reached, will receive My Nintendo Platinum points. So, good excuse to get online and play some Mario Kart this weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
With some friends.
Some Mario Kart laps. And while you can before the Switch 2 Mario Kart comes out.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So a little subdued celebration of Mario Day this year, but we realize that Nintendo's cooking up something, right? I mean,
do we suspect, and they've done this before on Mario Day, where we sort of all of a sudden get like some teasers of, I think a couple of years ago, they teased like a new Lego set. Like they almost did like a mini direct. Do we anticipate and I think I saw something leaked already on X. Do we anticipate maybe some teases, a little bit more additional to this? Because they do make a bit of a go of this
on the day. Yeah, they definitely do.
For literally making an event of like 3 initials and 2 numbers.
Yeah.
And you found a day, right? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are we expecting more? Roger?
I don't think we're going to get anything in terms of upcoming games for Switch 2, right? I think that's the big thing. I feel like there are some people that are going in expecting like, oh, we're going to get a little tease of something for like, oh, look forward. The most you're going to get of anything is like, please look forward to more information for the next Mario Kart game previously revealed on this, on the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer during the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 presentation. Like, that is the most you're going to get. I fully expect whatever the first 3D Mario is for Switch 2, we will see at that presentation. And I also think we're going to see Mario Kart, obviously, because that's most likely a launch title. But I do think that Lego set that has been heavily rumored about Mario Kart is almost assuredly going to get announced on Mario Day. And I also feel like people are forgetting about another thing related to Mario, that literally on April 6th of next year, April 6th, so a year and 1 month from today, Mario Movie 2 comes out. We know nothing about Mario Movie 2. Nothing. We don't have any tease of the plot other than the little end credit scene with Yoshi. We don't know any of the other things. We know the voice actors are coming back, but we don't know anything about it. I feel like we might get a little mini video from Miyamoto who says, look forward to information on our upcoming Mario games, because this year is our 40th anniversary. Look forward to information of the upcoming Switch 2 Direct. Maybe reiterating that they just put Donkey Kong 94 and Mario Picross on NSO, talking about the Mario Kart Lego set, and then saying, and by the way, we have some information to share about the upcoming Mario movie, and maybe share some casting announcements.
So
I feel like
even maybe a teaser poster.
Well, what was the timeline for that? Because if I remember correctly, the year and a half before the Mario movie came out, we got the little glimpse of like the Chris Pratt, he's so cool moment. And you got the cast reveals. But I don't think we got a teaser of the poster. We got the logo. So I think if anything, it'll be the logo and cast announcements. And the teaser will maybe be like mid next year, probably around the time they do like CinemaCon. Will probably be when we get the teaser trailer.
And I want to maybe ask, I apologize. You leaned into a bit here too, Roger, which was like, this is 40 years of Mario.
Yes.
Do we like if there's a time to really blow the lid off that, this is sort of like literally the day for it.
Yeah.
So are we anticipating like you said, sort of a big blow up or just we know, right? It's Mario's 40.
Sure.
Expect more throughout the year, right?
That's what I mean.
40.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You said so Marty's 40.
No, I want to
Marty's like, I'll take 40 for sure.
I would take 40. Yeah, I felt a lot better than. I just dropped this in the chat here for you guys. That Mario Kart Lego set has already leaked.
From Lego,
yeah. I mean, there's I would expect an official announcement that day, but you're looking at an almost 2,000 piece set for $170. That is Mario and his cart. Looks like a fairly large build, pretty substantial. May 1st release date on that.
So it's soon.
So they're going to want to get
it's
that
got to
out
be announced. It's got to be announced.
To be.
I think you're going. I do think you'll see something. Another thing that I wanted to throw out there is there have been rumors, and I know you guys have seen these about a 3D Mario remake coming sometime in 2025 to the Switch.
I have not seen that, but that would be amazing.
Well, I mean, it was like mid-January. There was some retailers listing a new 3D Mario and a Zelda remake. I don't know if that's it. It may be more related to Switch 2. But like if you gave me like remakes of Super Mario Land, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind something like that. I wouldn't mind like a little one-off Mario game, like just something like like they just dropped Mario's Picross tonight on the NSO. Like if they did something like that, it's not like a maybe just digital only type thing, or they bring out something on the NSO that hasn't been available before.
Bring Mario 35 back.
Mario 35.
I was kind of on the same train a little bit. Not that they would bring Mario 35 back, but maybe that they would do another production slew for 3D All-Stars. Because that game sold incredibly. I think people forget, because obviously it came out like during COVID and there was like a lot of other stuff where it was retailer only. And I feel like people forget how many copies that game sold. That was incredibly successful. And there's a lot of demand for it. And obviously secondhand, those games are pretty expensive right now too. I would not be shocked if they did a re-release of that, or if they did like a digital only re-release of Mario Galaxy 2. Because again, that was weird that got, like I could see them doing that as well.
The only thing I think that prevents them from doing that is that you have that mechanic with Yoshi, where the Wii remote aiming is pretty important.
Yeah,
I don't know how it would transfer over. I would love for there to be a way because I love Galaxy 2.
sure.
And I think it's a huge gap that they're missing. But I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw a little 5 minute like little
Yeah.
thing, and it's and even for it to say there will be no Nintendo Switch 2 news in this
And believe me,
presentation.
they would say that. They would say, don't expect any Nintendo Switch 2
Sure.
news in this
I just did a
presentation.
quick look on the sales of all 3D All Stars, and it was just a bit over 9 million.
Wow. See, there you
Wow.
go. Like I said, it was incredibly
Yeah.
successful. And so I feel like, or maybe like, are the red Mario Edition Switch OLEDs still on shelves? I could see them doing like another
No.
thing where they release that again. Like, I think it's going to be re-releasing something that has already been released to celebrate Mario. And I think the big actual celebration, oh, like the one big thing we're definitely going to get, I will say, we're going to get a logo for the 40th anniversary. We got that logo for the 35th. We're
Yeah.
going to get a
Mhm.
logo, and I could see that logo carrying throughout the rest of the year to the point where I could see them doing, because again, you got to remember that 35th Mario Direct was not on Mario Day. That 35th Mario Direct was in like September that year.
That's
So my
right.
Yeah.
assumption would be that they would do like a Mario 40th Direct later in the year after Switch 2's already been announced, probably after the release of Mario Kart as well, to say, hey, maybe we're doing DLC for Mario Kart. Here's the new 3D Mario game coming out. Here's maybe another Lego set by this point. Here's where we actually drop the trailer for the Mario movie too.
Here's
like,
a collab on shoes or
yeah,
some
right,
clothing
exactly.
line like they
if
have
the Donkey
before.
Kong one does well, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they do like Uniqlo again or something. But I definitely feel like the big push for the anniversary is going to come around the time of the actual anniversary as opposed
Yeah, yeah.
to
It's a
just
great call.
Mario Day,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, that's Mario Day.
Yeah.
We'll move on. We'll talk about something else. I thought this would be great.
Well, may
No?
I add a little speculation, a little
You
bit
may.
of
Sure.
Rogers
No,
Bay
I would
spice.
we love speculation.
So here's the thing.
Rampant.
This is specifically about the Mario movie. I did not think about this at all until it was brought up on Japan Time last night. So we did an episode of Japan Time, and Zeph on that show mentioned that the only thing we know at the end of the Mario movie, right, that end credit teaser, is where do we see Yoshi? Do you guys remember?
In the sewers?
In the real world.
In the sewers, exactly. He's in the sewers of Brooklyn in the real world. Wasn't there a Mario movie at one point where Yoshi was in the sewers of the real world? I'm, of course, talking about the live action Mario movie. Now, big brain, crazy idea, crazy concept, right? It has now been enough time, and we've had a quality Mario movie. We don't know the plot of Mario Movie 2. My assumption is they don't want to probably throw in a bunch of new characters, but there's two characters in the live action Mario movie. Say maybe they did like a retelling of the live action one, but make it right. In the animated form, you could have Yoshi and you could have Daisy, and you could literally make good on what they did for the live action movie as a direct sequel to the original Mario movie, having Yoshi in the real world and introducing Daisy as well for Luigi. Because then you get the opportunity to throw in whoever like the hot actresses of the month, right? You throw your Sydney Sweeney's, Ariana Grande's in there, whatever is Daisy. You get your Yoshi probably voiced with the same sound effects. You bring back the other cast, or if you're not going to do that and try to make good on what the plot of the original Mario movie was, dude, you just end up doing Mario World, right? Because if you do Mario World as the story, if you base it loosely around Mario World, the other characters you would introduce, because I don't think they want to immediately jump to Wario and Waluigi and Rosalina. Those could all be their own standalone movies. You could have a Galaxy-centric one. You could have the Wario one. Like, there's a lot of other things. But Mario World in particular, at the end of the Mario movie, you have Bowser in the little bottle, right? And he's like the little baby in the bottle and he's crying or whatever. The plot could basically revolve around Yoshi being in the real world and Mario and Luigi raising the Yoshi and figuring things out, and then finding out that Bowser has been freed by the Koopalings, which then gives you a huge reason to throw a bunch of celebrity voices in there that are going to get butts and seats.
Yes.
Name a bunch of celebrities as the Koopalings, and then that allows Mario, Luigi, and now Yoshi, who's in Brooklyn, to all jump back to the Mushroom Kingdom and go help Peach and go help, all the other characters by stopping
now
the
if the
Koopalings from
movie is
stopping Bowser.
not this, I'm going to be disappointed. That's incredible. I love it.
That
like
may
it.
or may not be a video coming out in the next day or two from me.
Well,
So it's fresh
Roger,
in my mind. But
you'll find out with me that any pitch for any kind of Mario thing that includes add more Koopalings, 100%.
right.
It's going to happen.
And
That's
I
what I
really do,
want.
because realistically, I feel like it's too, it sounds weird, right? But they want this to be a franchise. And if
Yeah.
they want it to be a franchise, we still have to get like a Luigi's Mansion spinoff. We got to get a standalone Donkey Kong movie. We already know they're making the live action Zelda. You don't want to like throw all the characters in too early. But I do feel like the Koopalings are niche enough and weird enough. Because remember, there was that rumor, like, I think this was 5 or 6 months ago, about one of the writers who said that like there's a niche character that's involved in this movie that people aren't expecting.
That he did, yeah.
Remember
they
that,
did say
right?
that. Mhm.
And in my brain, when I was thinking about like the potential Daisy connection with Yoshi and like being in the sewers, I was like, are they going to throw Tatanga in there? Like Tatanga is the bad guy, like the UFO alien dude from Mario Land. But then I was like, no. They're going to do, and I see Justin saying it in the chat, they're going to do Birdo. If you're going to do
Mario
Yoshi
too.
and a weird niche character that's involved with Yoshi that can actually speak, you do Birdo. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of potential there with like Birdo and the Koopalings with Yoshi to be the pairing as opposed to being like a Wario or a Waluigi focused movie. I think that could be a whole separate thing later on without, diving too much
listen,
into it.
if you do that and if you go Birdo, if you go that route, you got to have Wart. He's got to show up.
I would
That's
love
you want
Wart.
to talk a niche character.
That's about as niche as you can
I'm
get.
telling you,
Yeah.
I've said it here as much as I can. Hashtag free Wart.
Hashtag free Wart. There you go.
because we brought up the Mario movie, I want
Yeah.
to circle back to Roger because I don't think I've heard your response.
Mhm.
Roger, Nintendo Switch 2 trailer, Mario Kart. We take a look at my big burly guy,
Oh,
right?
yes.
My big monkey, and
Yes.
boy, he sure had some kind of glow up
sure
over
did,
the
didn't he?
last. What are your thoughts on this? Like very, very heavily influenced
Yeah.
by the Mario movie.
Donkey
What are your
Kong.
thoughts? Yeah, Donkey Kong. Yeah, if everyone's
Yeah.
like, what is he talking about? Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Definitely change model. What are your thoughts on it? Like, dislike?
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to be like a new,
Yes.
like this is going to be the new model for for
Yes.
Donkey Kong? Donkey Kong Returns Switch 2 version is going to look like this. Like, what are your thoughts?
I think that Donkey Kong is specifically going to be the model they use for the next mainline Donkey Kong game, like without a shadow of a doubt. The weird thing is they just did Epic Universe. Well, they're doing Epic Universe in May in Orlando, right? They already did the opening for Donkey Kong Land in Japan, which unfortunately I missed by 1 month when I was there for the Nintendo Museum. I'm so upset. But I will say, I feel like with Donkey Kong, if you look at the model that they have in the park, it is the rare model. So it's very bizarre that they would then remodel him now after doing this big push with the rare model in the parks. But I do believe that Donkey Kong specifically that you see that's in the trailer that looks more modeled after the Mario movie is meant to be based off of like the old sort of Miyamoto-esque classic like Mario World kind of designs more than it
when
is
I saw
like the
that
Mario
model,
movie.
I didn't see the movie model. I thought
Right.
Donkey Kong 81 model.
Yes. And I think with that in mind, I think that's why it's for sure with some upcoming game. Like, I think it's been a heavy rumor for a while now that the team that made Galaxy and Odyssey was working on a 3D Donkey Kong game. I think with what we got in the Mario movie, with Donkey Kong literally like using a fire flower for the first time, that might have been our first teaser that like these worlds are sort of meshing a little bit.
Yeah.
And, Nintendo, with as much as they've been tweeting about Donkey Kong Country Returns, certainly loves their Kongs. And I can see a situation in which DK has this new model that debuts in Mario Kart. And for the purposes of the Mario franchise moving forward, or like his future platformer games, that is what he's going to look like. I don't think they're completely getting rid of the Rareware design, like for when they do, re-releases of the Rare games. And again, obviously, the one that's in the park is more heavily fashioned after the Rareware one. But I do think for the games themselves moving forward, that is absolutely the direction they're going in.
I think the reason that the Rareware one is in the park is that's already been in the pipeline for a while.
Yes.
And that like it's almost like we've spent all this money on this costume and this look, and so we're going to go with that for a while, and we'll update that later on
at some point. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I wonder if, and just speculation station, if we will see in the new Mario Kart game, when you go to choose Donkey Kong, you get to choose different versions of their looks, right?
I mean, that'd be cool.
Each character might actually so we might have a Princess Peach model like we currently have, but you could also choose the one that looks like from the Mario movie.
That'd be cool.
right? So you actually get to sort of maybe
Like
choose some of the
Smash,
different.
where they have different costumes.
Yeah,
Different
models.
costumes. I mean, we saw that a
different
little bit with
modeling.
Mario Kart Tour. So Mario Kart
Mhm.
Tour did the thing where they overlaid all the different costumes. And actually, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did the same thing as well, where like with the updated characters, like with Birdo, where you could change the color, it was
Yep.
under the same selection screen.
I would
Mhm.
like to see more.
I mean,
of
I
that.
said this, I did a video, I think like a month ago, about like predictions based off of that trailer that we got. Just a little gameplay teaser of like what I'm expecting to see in the next Mario Kart game. And one of the big things was I feel like a lot of those characters, like your Pink Gold Peaches, your Luigi, whatever, I think are going to be costumes over the other main characters
Yeah.
to then allow for more like weird picks and potentially even more crossover characters as well.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Good chat. I always like chatting
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Donkey Kong.
Me too.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, here's something else I wanted us to spin around to, especially with having Roger on the show this week, is Rolling
Sure.
Stone has listed their top 20 Switch exclusives
Oh,
this
I saw
week.
this.
And
Yes.
let me just say, it's a list. All right. And so I'm just going to read these out. I want to get your take on all of our takes on whether they hit it right or not. All right.
Let's do
So
it.
we'll start at 20 and go up to 1. Coming in at number 20, Luigi's Mansion 3. Number 19, Pokemon Legends Arceus. 18, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. 17, Bayonetta 3. 16, Mario Maker 2. 15, Pikmin 4. And here's where it gets a little wonky. 14, Monster Hunter Rise. 13, Astral Chain. 12, Mario Wonder. 11, Fire Emblem Three Houses. And then the top 10, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. 9 being Splatoon 3. 8, Mario Kart Deluxe. 7, Animal Crossing New Horizons. 6, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Top 5, Smash Brothers Ultimate. Number 4, Tetris 99. Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. Number 2, Metroid Dread. And number 1, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I saw a lot of favorable
Switch launch
reactions
game
over
is
there.
number 1 of all time.
Yeah, number 1 on the list.
Yeah, I saw a lot of favorable reactions from Roger. What do you think about this list?
Anything that gives love to Metroid Dread
100%.
makes me very, very happy. I think that game, to this day, is actually pretty underrated. I think that is one of the most quality first-party games that they've released. I think Mercury Steam knocked it out of the park with that. I think it is, maybe it's like for a newer generation, it didn't necessarily hit as much, but for people like me or for people like all of us that are on the show, right, who played Super Metroid and like those classic kind of 2D games.
Yeah.
And then when Fusion came out, what a huge deal that was to have Metroid 4. Like, wow, we're actually getting a sequel. And then for all these years to pass, to never get a 2D Metroid, to then have re-releases, like Samus Returns was good, right? And there were other re-releases, but it wasn't quite the same. So for one, for it to actually be a 2D Metroid, 2, for it to be Metroid Dread nonetheless, teased back in the days of Metroid Prime in like an old like scan book or something, and 3, for the game to be as quality and like as replayable as it is. I'm super happy to see it in the top 5 of this list. Would it personally be in my top 5? I don't know. Would it be in my top 10? Absolutely. But I think it is an incredible game, and any place that gives Metroid Dread flowers, I think, is cool in my book. And of course, Smash being in top 5. Love that. Seeing Animal Crossing in the top 10 as well. Happy with that. I am also questioning the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom thing and like the placing of that, because I do feel like Tears of the Kingdom is the better game, but Breath of the Wild, I think you cannot overstate the impact that it had on the industry. And the game is still awesome to play. So I feel like it's not a huge surprise that it's number 1 to me.
I think that's and this is the thing, right? We're in spoiler alert. Nintendo Dads is going to do our top 10 Nintendo Switch games coming up soon. We're going to build it. We're going to craft it. But I do think like this is, as we see the Switch beginning to wind down into the Switch 2, these are the conversations that now will begin, right? The top, the best, the most, right? I think you will always, I think 9 out of 10, you're going to see Breath of the Wild as that number 1 game. Probably. Because I think it's such, to your point, Roger, it was such a impactful moment. And I think Nintendo needed a win, and it delivered. And the how it has changed the video game landscape. You hear people say, "Ah, that's very Breath of the Wild-esque," right?
Sure.
Like it began to create like a following. People wanted that.
Like,
Is it
Genshin
like this?
Impact is probably the first.
Yeah, right.
of
Oh, it
those
Yeah,
feels
games.
like that, right?
Third
Oh,
of my content wouldn't exist without Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, the music sounds like that, and
Right.
we all remember that feeling of coming out onto the Great Plateau and that music swelling,
Yeah.
right? Like, yes, Tears can absolutely be I think a stronger game, and there's some arguments about that, right? But I think ultimately, in the end, the industry impact of Breath of the Wild, I think it was a game of like, it'll be on top 10 lists forever of like the best games, Mario 64, right? It'll be like in that kind of pantheon that we talk about it. And so not shocked about it as well.
Which
I think
is also, while not to cut you off, but we're on the topic of Breath of the Wild, which is also why I feel like, not to jump ahead to Switch 2 stuff, but I do think it's important to bring up here. I don't think we're getting anything Zelda related in the upcoming Switch 2 presentation, other than like maybe if the closer is a teaser that they're working on their next game. I really feel like if we get anything Zelda, it is Breath of the Wild 4K. Like that's been the thing that was rumored, pretty much guaranteed now since Gamescom of last October, where they were first showing people the demo units of Switch 2 and like the games that were running on it. And apparently there was a 4K version of Breath of the Wild. My assumption is that is actually like a real thing that is going to be released at retail, whether it's full price or they have like a discount for people who already own the game. Who knows? This is Nintendo. It could literally go any number of ways. But I feel like that release is almost assuredly going to be this year. I feel like that is their Zelda title within the next 12 months is going to be the 4K re-release of Breath of the Wild.
And I think that's a really important thing to lean into. A couple things there, Roger. I want to ask first your statement of like, reselling it. Do you believe that there's a world, right, where I have my Switch 2, I put in Tears or Breath of the Wild, and there is an update, just an update, and it's free, and now it's 4K and resed up that? Or do you believe it's going to be like here's the definitive HD edition that you need to purchase?
That's
like,
what I think it's gonna be.
Do we think the Switch 2 will up-res support better performance some of our Switch games, or do we just think it's like you just happen to have a Switch 1 game, it just plays on the Switch 2 just like it would like a Switch 1 game? What are your thoughts around that? Do you think there's any boost we're going to see?
Yes, I do think there is an expansion pack type dealy with Switch 2 in which like certain old games are going to run better and look better on Switch 2.
Having
Breath
more
of the
RAM,
Wild,
more clock speed.
yeah, absolutely. I
None
mean,
of that'll hurt.
that's none of that's going to hurt. It's a done deal. However, I do think there will be a like definitive version of Breath of the Wild, right? Like I think the thing that people have to keep in mind, yeah, with DLC included and everything, that'll be in 4K. I think the thing that it's going to be is that it's not going to add feature like the upresing, right? I don't think is necessarily going to add features where like, oh, you're playing these Switch 2 games in 4K now, right? On a big screen TV. What I think it is if the screen is 1080p and the original Switch screen was 720, you can now play your Switch games in 1080p on the base Switch 2 screen. And then if it's on the TV and you're playing the same game, it's still 1080p. But if you get the 4K version, because of course they're going to want to upsell to people, you can get the 4K definitive whatever Breath of the Wild and play it on there. That then baseline has all the DLC, 1080p on the screen, probably has a little bit of new content, but for the most part is like maybe something that ties in like Tears of the Kingdom in a more meaningful way, like an extra dungeon or something. But I do feel like that is for sure going to happen. The only thing that I could see is them potentially doing something where it's like, if we already see on your account that you have a digital version of Breath of the Wild, that we offer you a discount, that it's like $10 instead of $60 or whatever. Yeah. Like I could see them, because they did that, I believe, with virtual console games.
It was like $1 to
upgrade. And so I could see something along the same lines where it's like $10 and you can get the 4K definitive edition or whatever. But most assuredly, it will be sold as a separate thing. And I don't think they're going to do this for everything, but I do think with Breath of the Wild specifically being that type of game, they will. Yeah.
I'm also a believer
in Xbox did something similar in 2020. So
right.
The precedence is there.
I'm also definitely very much a believer, Roger, in regards to the NSO Tier 3 level.
I am also a believer of that.
I fully believe that's exactly what's going to happen. Welcome to our third tier.
I'm not looking forward to paying for it.
No,
I don't think it'll be that much more, to be completely honest. I think there's been rumblings dating back to like probably the last time I was on the show, to be fair. There's been rumblings dating back to GameCube, right? And that GameCube was an emulation thing that was they were in the process of working on, right? A long time ago. There was even like a rumored list of games where it was like Star Fox Assault and Path of Radiance, and like it was right around the time where they delisted 3D All-Stars Act. So it was around the time that I was on the show last. It was like they had delisted 3D All-Stars and people were going, "Oh, they delisted it, but now like with the GameCube, you'll have Mario Sunshine on there, right? And that'll be how people get around playing it."
Yeah.
I think that's for sure happening. I think it's exclusive to Switch 2. And I think Switch 2 will introduce some new tier, some third tier that's GameCube, potentially like 3DS and Wii. I think to the second tier that's already existing for people who own Switch 2, I think you're going to get on that second tier like Dreamcast maybe, or like something along those lines, like something kind of like weird, it's more niche. And then I think even on the first tier, if you own a Switch 2, I think they're going to do original DS. Because the whole thing with the mouse control, the big one I just forgot. It'll be DS on tier 1, it'll be 3DS on tier 2, it'll be GameCube on tier 3. That's the big one I was thinking, right? Because the thing is with well, I have a fun little anecdote about Virtual Boy coming up in an upcoming video. Stay tuned. Look, because again, do you happen to know what this year is, Jesse?
What's that?
30 years.
This year's the 30th anniversary of the Virtual Boy. Good old-fashioned Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
So realistically, I could also see a world in which they throw Virtual Boy on one of the services. I don't think that would necessarily be like a Switch 2 exclusive thing, but I could definitely see a world in which they do some type of Virtual Boy emulation, non-3D, in which they release those on NSO in honor of the 30th anniversary, especially considering
Do you
they had an
know what
entire
would be
section
crazy?
dedicated to it at Nintendo Museum.
Like think about this. There's the rumor out there that the top USB port is so that a second screen can be added.
I hope so.
And can you imagine if that top screen has the ability to do the non-3D glasses, stereoscopic 3D?
That would be incredible.
And Virtual Boy is now on the NSO, and you
man.
can play Virtual Boy on your Switch too. I mean, I know this is kind of running wild.
No, but I don't hate it. I think that's weird enough gimmicky Nintendo.
You saw that render of the demo of what it could be.
I did. It's awesome looking.
So, but if you look at it, the Switch does go upside down. So I think the bottom USB port, which supports the video because that's where the dock connection is, it makes sense for that to be your second screen, where but the quote unquote
like the touch screen,
could probably still be power only.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I didn't even consider that.
I wanted to throw this out here because I have a bone to pick with this list. I think there's some things that are missing on here that have been big sellers for Switch. But also the first thing I want to point out is that Monster Hunter Rise is not a Switch exclusive.
Yeah, it's not.
Fair play.
It's not. It was. It launched as one, but it's
not. It was. But it did go to other systems, and I can understand like that may be why that they don't have like Super Mario 3D World on here, because it was also on the Wii U. It may also be why we don't have Thousand Year Door on there, which I think is a huge omission, because it was a GameCube title. The two games I want to point out that I think are big misses here. The first one is Super Mario Party or Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Jamboree.
One of those, I think it's a huge miss because of just the Mario Party genre in particular. It's been a pretty big seller for the Switch. Especially I think Super Mario Party, the original, stays in the top 20.
Consistently.
Sellers.
And Jamboree on top of that is critically acclaimed. Like not only do all of us love it, but like the critics love it, which is rare for a Mario Party game. Like they just announced the BAFTA nominations and it got nominated in like 4 different categories, which is like absurd for Mario Party. That never ever happens. The Game Awards, it was nominated for best multiplayer, best family game. I mean, it's like it's in a lot of categories, and I think people underestimate how like important that game is in terms of Nintendo's releases this year, and like how far reaching that game got outside of just Nintendo fans. Yeah.
Jamboree was reported at just over 6 million. Superstars almost 13 million. And Super at over 21 million.
Yeah. So I would add to that too, that like there's been several Mario RPGs that have launched on Switch or come out now. They've again remakes with Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door. But we've had Origami King, and Brothership that could
Yeah.
have been on this list.
No, absolutely not. I would
and-
rather, I would absolutely positively not. I would rather stick my head in the oven than have either of those games on this list. Absolutely not. Brothership with little, what's the turnip grandpa or whatever? Get that guy out of here. I never want to hear his yapping little mouth ever again. Absolutely positively hate that game. In fact, I've said this before. I know this is wild coming from a Nintendo fan. Look, I'm just going to say it. Mario and Luigi should have stayed dead. When Alpha Dream stopped, they should have stopped making them. I think it's the worst subgenre of RPG. I think sales-wise, you could also see, in terms of the trajectory of the sales, it is the least performing of the three, with RPG, Thousand Year Door, and with Mario and Luigi. Sold the least of the three. And on top of all of this, if I may, because you were just talking about how hype the remake of Thousand Year Door was, while I think Origami King is a step in the right direction, the combat in that game, straight up, it's not good. That combat alone should leave it off the list. And the fact that the bad guys are like staplers and scissors is just...
I'll borrow a phrase that I hear from my...
Yeah.
I'll borrow a phrase I hear from my son a lot with his friends. The battle system in Origami King is straight up cheeks.
It's straight cheeks. I agree. No cap. Yeah, the Origami King battle system is straight cheeks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think that for this list, I think they could have had at least one of those.
But there's plenty of
games.
games. I mean, there's so many other games you could have chosen.
One of the things I will call on this list, though, like that is sort of a deep cut that I'm shocked is on here, is Astral Chain.
Yes, deserves to be on this list.
100% it does. But like,
Cool. Yeah,
I think that was such a unique and different game, and very easily could have been lost.
Yeah,
I'm hoping for an Astral Chain too. I think it had enough great mechanics about it. Great to see a Xenoblade game in here.
Sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, where you are at for Animal Crossing, the impact that game had during COVID.
Yeah.
This will be the challenge and this will be a challenge for us when we create our top 10, right? Like, there's so much great content on the Switch, and there is definitely some outliers of like, get some of these RPGs out of here. But, like if someone said to me, give me a list of 10 games I should get for the Switch, like, man, that is a tough list to make, right?
Because are we going to ask the community for their input as well? Like,
we're going to ask the community, 100%.
Okay.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
I was just going to ask where Three Houses landed.
Now,
Three Houses landed at 11, right? Because Three Houses that absolutely deserves to be in the top 20 for sure. I feel like Pikmin honestly feels a little low considering how good Pikmin 4 was. I think should be maybe a little higher. I would also say the other big omission to this, like when I'm thinking of other big Nintendo Switch exclusive games, like that debuted on Switch that people absolutely loved and like ate up, I don't know. I'm not really seeing like any big first party omission. Maybe like 2, I could see Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but they already put 3 on here.
Yeah.
The only one that comes to mind, which obviously they already have Tetris 99 on this list, would actually be F-Zero 99. I think that game is incredible. I see people playing that were never playing F-Zero games before, that like purchase NSO accounts just to play that game.
It's done way better than I thought it would.
Way better. And it's like they consistently are updating it. I'm honestly a little surprised that's not in the bottom half of this top 20.
It somehow feels like they were like, listen, you need to make a 20 list. You can put Zelda twice, you can put Mario twice, but everything else you just got to pick one from the franchise.
Yeah.
Right? Because like Pokemon Legends Arceus, you're going to tell me that you wouldn't put another Pokemon game potentially on there somewhere higher?
Scarlet and Violet was so panned.
I was going to say Scarlet and Violet, a lot of people hated. So and Arceus, I think, was the one that like universally, even though some people had issues with it, I think they knew they could put this on the list and people would be happy. I mean, like new Pokemon Snap is very solid. That game is really good. Reviewed really well. I forgot
that existed.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, that's probably why it's not. I think Rolling Stone did too, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd put Mario Maker 2 at 16.
I also don't think I would have put Mario Maker.
I don't know if I'm going to be honest with you, it would not make my list.
No, they would make my top 20. Yeah,
it's a good game, but I wouldn't make my top 20. Yeah.
Well, here's what we get out of this. Everybody has different taste, right? And we're going to be putting together our top 10 list. It's coming up pretty soon. Roger, I wanted to get your take on something that we talked about last week on the show.
Let's hear it.
As we kind of wind up our news. Nintendo mentioned last week that they would be delisting Super Soccer from
Yes.
NSO in Japan. And then later on, after our show, after we recorded, we reported on this last week. But then after we recorded, they confirmed that it would basically be delisted in all regions of the NSO app at the end of March.
Yeah.
So it's coming up soon. They've given you a little bit of time to squeeze out whatever
Super
Super
Soccer you
Soccer
want.
nostalgia you have.
Yeah.
But I just wondered, like, what? Why? Like, why are we delisting this one game? What's
Yeah.
the, yeah,
My
because,
assumption is it's a rights thing. If I had to guess, it's like
yeah,
expiration of some rights thing. I don't think it's a rights thing in terms of the content within the game. I think it's literally like what was the publisher for that one? Do you know?
thought it
I
was
can look it
Nintendo.
up.
But
No, I don't think Super
no,
Soccer is a first party
no,
Nintendo
I know
game.
what you're saying. There's a publisher. It was, uh,
Like the original which is probably why it was listed out there. The original Japanese publisher was what?
looking it up
Published
right
by Human, developed and published
Human.
by Human in Japan.
Does Human exist as a company anymore? Because I'm almost wondering if
now.
it was like a limited license
No, they
by.
went bankrupt.
So there you go. That's probably that's the explanation for it. I saw some people doom posting about this being like, oh my God, does this mean GoldenEye and Banjo Kazooie are gone and we've
Don't
waited
you
all
hate
these
it when
years.
people do that?
But I there's like no doubt in my mind this is going to affect anything that people like actually care about. I think also some people need to remember what NSO was initially. Do you remember what this was when they announced it? Is they said that they were going to be adding games like regularly to Switch Online and then putting new games up instead. It started when they first announced this back during the Switch presentation thing, like right afterwards, that it was going to be a cyclical thing, that games were going to come up and come down. So
I
the fact
remember
that it's
that
turned
now.
the fact that this has turned into like a Netflix type library is incredible. Like to me, I know people are very hardcore, like, I want to buy my virtual console version of this game. I'm like, bro, I don't. Like, I'm already paying for my Switch Online. Like, I don't
Yeah,
want to buy all these games. I already own I own 4 versions of Super Metroid, 3
right.
versions of Earthbound. I own like, I think at least 4 versions of Ocarina of Time if you're including the bonus disc. Like, I don't want to buy all this stuff again. Do I think it'd be cool to have like the option to buy these or some of these games? Like, sure, I would love for people to have the choice, right? But for me personally, like if someone gun to my head was like virtual console or NSO, which would you choose? I'm taking NSO every day. And I think, again, it sets like a scary precedent that something's getting delisted, but I would be significantly more concerned if this was like a rareware title. If this was like a big, historic, like really important game to Nintendo's library that was being removed, I think that would be more cause for concern. But like, did anybody care when they added Super Soccer? Like, when it even got added in the first place? Did people even play this? It became an issue when the story came out.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that it's to me and I think I said this last week. It's more about the precedent it sets
right. It's the
than the game
slippery
that's being
slope, the
lost.
potential slippery slope.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Right.
so that's the only thing I worry about. I just wanted to get your take on it. So
Yeah.
let's finish up
Yeah.
news here.
Well,
They better
A
not get
couple
rid
of,
I will tell you this though. They better not get rid of Spanky's Quest on Super Nintendo. If they hit up Natsume and they don't extend the rights for Spanky's Quest, you're going to see a YouTube video from me. I'll be very
Yeah.
I like how
angry.
that's the line.
And
That's the
Spanky's
line.
Quest and Iggy's Wrecking Balls. That's what those
According to Game
those
Facts,
games, I need them.
in North America, Nintendo was the publisher.
There you
Yeah.
go. There
And
you go. So that's
it was added to NSO in September of 2019.
interesting.
it's been
That is
around
weird.
that
If
long.
first party, the publisher was Nintendo and they're
Yeah.
removing it, then that is very bizarre.
That's why I was like, we maybe
Yeah,
just a
talk
little
about it.
smidgen of information about this.
Yeah.
Let's finish out the news this way. We've got some release updates out now, available right now on the NSO Game Boy app. Donkey Kong 94, not its official name, it's just Donkey Kong.
Just Donkey
Most
Kong.
people call it Donkey Kong 94. That is out right now, as well as Mario's Picross. I love y'all when I tell you this is my favorite Donkey Kong game. Seriously,
right here.
it's so good. It's so good. Go, you owe it to yourself. Go play this.
Literally the night
also,
before the show, they announced this.
When I
Already
first played the
downloaded
game,
it. I got it right on
Nice.
here.
Oh, I love it.
when I first played Donkey Kong Game Boy, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a recreation
Yes.
of the arcade.
That's why.
And then
Sure.
when I
One of
beat
the reasons I
stage
love it.
3 or whatever that, and Donkey Kong rolled off screen, I'm like, that's new. What's going on? And
Yep.
it completely caught me off guard about what
Yeah.
they did.
I remember getting this on a family trip and having my Game Boy with me so I could play it. But that was also, it released with the Super Game Boy.
Right.
It was
Right.
the first game that was in
Right.
full color, like because the
Yeah.
Super Game Boy would take it and it would do more than 4 colors on for that game. And I remember getting both of those and like being so excited to go home and play Donkey Kong on my Super Nintendo, where I've been like fiddling with it on the Game Boy, like on the way home, and it's dark and I didn't have my back then you had to roll up
A
with
little
all the
light.
Game Boy accessory. You had to have the
Right.
light, you had the speakers, the extra battery pack, the carrying case. I didn't have any of that. Just had my Game Boy and Donkey Kong. It's still phenomenal. So you owe it to yourself. Go play it. Also out on March 13th, On Your Tail is going to be out for Switch. So you need to check that. And also be sure to always check out our YouTube channel. Most weeks we've got brand new first looks of games that are coming out, like Everhood 2. That one came out this week. That's on our YouTube channel as well. So you can go and check that out. Now, Justin,
Nice.
are we throwing to an ad this week? Absolutely. So let's take a break right here and get an ad from our good friends over at Manscaped.
Nice.
Support Nintendo Dads is brought to you by Manscaped. It's time to talk about stepping up your grooming game without stepping out all over your wallet. Introducing the Handyman Rocket Man Special Edition from Manscaped, the ultimate grooming tool designed to deliver precision and comfort in one sleek, easy-to-use device. Whether you're looking for a trim, a shape, or a detailed touch-up, the Handyman Rocket Man is built to handle shaving your face with ease. Compact, it's portable, and crafted for efficiency. It's the perfect addition to your grooming arsenal. Now, just as a quick PSA though, there is a limited quantity available for the Handyman Rocket Man edition, so you need to act fast. You can use our code NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping by heading over to manscaped.com. Again, the code NINDADS for 20% off and free shipping. Listen, the Handyman is a sleek, powerful, compact face shaver that helps save guys getting ditched with the mess. It's cordless, it's designed for convenience, and it easily fits in that bathroom drawer or slips into a travel bag, and it's easy grooming. I'm going to be honest with you, I used it a couple days ago. It is by far the smoothest shave I have ever had with an electrical razor. It's absolutely fantastic. My trimmer died. Grabbed out the Handyman Rocket, boom, 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 done and dusted. I was able to go my day, and it is a baby smooth bottom touch feel with that thing. Highly, highly recommend it. And it's super compact. You throw it in a to-go bag, man, you're setting yourself up for success to look your absolute best whenever you have to look your best. Head over to Manscaped. Marty, back to you.
Now, I'm going to say this. This is not in our notes, but I'm just going to throw this out for you guys.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered how weird it is that we as a society compare things when discussing smoothness to a baby's butt?
Not really. I
Like,
mean,
where
babies'
did-
butts are the epitome of
Like,
smoothness.
where did
I
that
feel
come
like.
from? Like, it's like on a sliding scale of sandpaper to baby's
It's a baby
butts.
butt.
Fair
Why
enough.
did babies' butts get to be the one? Like, did somebody was
The
like,
bar.
"This is the smoothest thing I've ever felt in my life." It's got to be that.
Yeah, and nobody questioned it. Nobody was just
No,
like,
nobody
At the time,
questions it.
Porsche 911s didn't exist at that time.
Yeah,
so there
fair
was
enough.
no like
Yeah.
real testament to what true smoothness would really feel like.
Yeah.
So,
I
Yeah.
would love to hear the conversation like, oh man, that's as smooth as a baby's bottom. Everyone's like,
Right.
what did you just say?
yeah.
What were you just touching?
We'll take
like,
your
it
word
just-
for
Person.
it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like we should go with that
Yeah.
idea. Okay.
Well, we actually do have something real. I'm just knocked stuff off my desk. Sorry, we do have something real to discuss this week
Let's
on the
do it.
show.
Okay.
I want to throw it back, y'all, to 2020.
Yes.
And on June 25th, 2020, we had Roger on the show as a guest,
Mhm.
and he made a prediction. And not only did someone call out this prediction this week, Roger, when we told them that you were going to be on the show, they went back and clipped the audio
I
of
love
this
I love
of
it.
this prediction, and we have that for you,
Yeah.
and
Let's
we're
do
going
it.
to
I
play
think he
that.
actually clipped it at the time it was said, and just because you're able to
Just
go
save
back
it.
and
Yeah.
see what your clips were. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love that it got clipped. I love
I
that
love
this
it.
is
I
this
love
is
that our
Nintendo
audience
Dad's deep
hasn't
cut.
forgot for nearly 5 years.
This doesn't
about
surprise
Yes.
me. Bro,
Yeah.
the guys on Japan Time, whenever we make our stake bets, believe me, we hear about it constantly. We're making stake bets every once in a while for, oh, this game is going to come out next event. I'll buy you a stake if yada, yada, yada. So, and people track this. Like the amount of dedicated fans that come through
I love
either
it.
in my server, Japan Time, like they track this kind of stuff. So I'm happy. I'm
It
happy
makes
to
me
hear
so happy that people are this invested. So, Jesse,
play the
without
clip.
further ado, roll that beautiful
Play it.
beam
Let's go.
footage.
Let's go.
all right, let's get this full screen.
All right.
Recorded
yeah,
on
full
June
screen.
25th, 2020. I will say, come back to this. If by this, in fact, I will make this promise. I will make this promise, clip this, whatever. If by December 31st, 2021, Master Chief is not yet confirmed as a playable character in Smash Bros., I will donate a $100 eShop credit to your audience.
Wow. Okay.
I love it.
Jesse,
I love it.
Wow.
Yep. There it is.
You were so confident with
I
Master
was.
Chief.
And you know what? This is why I'm happy to pay this off finally, because in my brain,
It's been hiding, it's
No.
been holding you down
Because-
for 5
right.
years, Roger.
the thing is, I at that point truly never believed we would ever get Sora ever. Never. And
Yeah.
I have an anecdote that I want to share with you all, and then the reveal of how I'm paying off my dues. So we're going to get
Okay.
to this. All
Yeah.
right. First off, my anecdote in relation to Sora is when I was at the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto. This was last September. If you guys in the audience had not already seen this video, go watch my video tour of the Nintendo Museum.
It's amazing, by the way, folks.
Probably my
so
most
jealous.
successful video last year. It was so much fun. And in that video, one of the things that was talked about that was at the museum is on the second floor of the museum, there's a dedicated portion to Nintendo's history of toy making, right? That a lot of people don't really even know about. In this museum, there's an entire display case of toys that they made with Disney. Toys that they made with Disney dating back to 10 years after the end of World War II. That's
Wow.
how early they were making toys with Disney. They were licensing Disney properties to make playing cards, to make board games, to make toys. There are like standing little baseball trays where it's like, you know, those old little tabletop baseball games. There's like Mickey baseball trays that you can go and find images of online. Like I said, there's Sleeping Beauty playing cards, Pinocchio playing cards, Bambi playing cards, Mickey Mouse like shooting gallery things, like everything you could possibly think of with Disney. And you see this giant display case. And at the end of the display case, when I was there, I don't know if it's still there now. I went as like an early media preview, and they were still setting things up. But at the end of that display case, they had a little Sora amiibo at the very end of it, of all of these Disney toys leading up to that Sora amiibo. And when I saw that display case at the Nintendo Museum of all the Disney collaborations and all the Nintendo stuff, in my brain, it clicked where I was like, oh, duh. How was I stupid enough to not know my Nintendo history, to think that it would be so out there to believe that Sora would get in when they've had such a good relationship with Disney specifically over the course of literally 50 years, predating them even making video games whatsoever. Okay, mind you, at the time I made this bet about Master Chief, you have to remember what was happening in the world. At the time, we knew that there was going to be one last big DLC character, right? We knew it was going to be somebody shocking. And at the time, nobody really honestly believed it would be Sora. I think people like hoped and prayed that it would be Sora, but no one actually thought like this is a realistic
That was a
thing
big
they're
shock
gonna
to
do.
me when
That was a
happened.
huge shock. But you know what did just come out at the time? Halo Infinite. You know what company did just start working with Nintendo a lot, releasing GoldenEye in the NSO? Microsoft. And to me, in my brain, because again, one of the big rumors at the time was Master Chief Collection was coming to Switch. Now, here we are, March 6th, 2025. One of the big rumors about something we're going to see in that Switch 2 Direct is going to be Master Chief Collection coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And I still think and believe that is probably going to be highly likely. But you also have to remember, at the time we recorded this, we were still in the process of getting these Smash reveal trailers, right? And whenever a Smash trailer would happen, you'd get that splash screen of some like title. Here comes a new challenger, and it's like Street Fighter, right? It was something related to the game. The final character, to me, made a lot of sense to be Master Chief. Good relationship with Microsoft, potential for Halo to becoming the Switch. It wasn't going to be Doom Guy. Doom Guy is a me character. It's going to be Master Chief finishes the fight. You're going to get Master Chief versus Samus. So in my brain, I'm like, by the end of that fighter pass, no doubt in my mind, we're getting Master Chief. So I was genuinely shocked, just like all of you, that Master Chief wasn't in there. I still think there's likelihood with whatever the next Smash game is going to be that Master Chief does eventually get in. The only thing kind of working against him now is Halo genuinely is just not as relevant nowadays as it would have been even at the time of that recording. But at the time, Halo Infinite was brand new. Halo Infinite was a thing that was coming out. People were excited about it. It was going to be this rebirth of Halo. Now, with that being said, here's the problem. Prior to coming onto the show, I went on both Amazon.com and Walmart.com to order a $99 digital eShop gift card for the Nintendo Dads audience.
And
It
you can't
would
do that
not.
anymore.
You can't do it anymore, right? So in my brain, I'm like, this stinks. And I know some people are like, oh, Roger's happy he got out of this situation. You know what? No. Here's what I'm going to do. My audience that's listening knows that 2 months ago, I had a giant 24-hour stream where I streamed a bunch of Nintendo games, did a lot of different challenges, and it was in honor of hitting 400K on YouTube. We did a big, massive 24-hour stream, and it was great. During that live stream, Eli, one of my good buddies over at Studio MDHR, reached out while I was live and said, Roger, in honor of your 24-hour stream, you could do whatever you want with these codes. We are going to gift you 50 Cuphead codes to give away. This is Cuphead on the Nintendo eShop with Delicious Last Course included, okay? Now, it just so happens that 2 of those 50 codes have not yet been used. The problem was my dumb self didn't track which codes were used or not. Now, I know for a fact there are 2 that are unused. So here's what I'm going to do. That game, with all the DLC, everything included, is like what, $50, $60? That equates to like $100 eShop gift card. Look, Cuphead's an amazing game. I want to spread the gospel of Cuphead. I got a Cuphead marionette right back here, right? Cuphead is essentially a Nintendo character now. We're loving Cuphead, and the Delicious Last Course DLC, absolutely incredible. So what I'm going to do, I am literally going to give the remnant. So if there are more than 2 codes, great, then you guys get bonus codes. But I know there's at least 2. I'm going to give the entire document, the 50 code document, whatever's left over, to you guys while I'm live on the show right now. I got it pulled up right here. Can I insert? There we go. Boom. Right there you guys have it. My actual code list from Studio MDHR of the 50 Cuphead Delicious Last Course. And again, it's the base game and the DLC included, the full game. There's 50 codes. Now, again, I have not scoped through. I know a lot of those are not usable. I know a bunch of them have been used, but there are minimum, I know for a fact, because I tracked it during my live stream, there are at least 2 that have not been used. There may be more. So you can do whatever you want with that. Have a fun game with your audience. Have like a scavenger hunt. You guys just drop the list of 50 and then people can type all 50 in and whichever one ends up working. But here's what I ask of you. Whoever in the Nintendo Dads community gets the game, please tweet at me and the Nintendo Dads, at both of us, with your Switch and your copy of the game. And let us know that you got it. That's the only thing I ask. Because what would then happen is sometimes I was dropping the codes and some people weren't saying that they got them. So I couldn't track whether or not some people had them or not. But I really would love for you guys to tweet at me and tweet at them, letting me know if you were one of the ones that got the codes. But again, if there are some extras in that list, fantastic. You guys get the extras. But I'm handing the full list of 50 to you guys today.
I love it.
Congratulations. Awesome. Go crazy.
Thank you, Roger. That's fantastic.
Very
Thank
welcome.
you. I love this story. There's so many layers to it. The Studio MDHR thing just adds
Which
another
also,
to it.
Again, where did Studio MDHR start? They started because of being funded by Microsoft full circle, Master Chief. I was like, when I remembered that I had these leftover codes, I'm like, this is perfect. Because I genuinely got upset when I went on and I couldn't buy a $99 eShop. I was like, this is BS. I can't pay off my debt. But then I was like, no. I have a good equivalent. I actually can. So
absolutely,
there you go.
And such a fantastic game on the Switch too.
If we remember back further than the Master Chief prediction, you were also on the show when we started talking about DLC for Ultimate.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, you and I predicted Steve as a DLC character
we did
for Ultimate. And I think we were the only ones who were like, this is viable. We see it. I remember talking about that. Then when I was thinking about you coming on the show today, I was like, Roger was, and I both were like, yes, Steve is going to be in. He's going to be one of those. And that's what I really, honestly, I thought that this clip was about that.
About Steve.
And it was just the timing was wrong. Right.
Also, ironically enough, still a Microsoft character. We're still in the realm of Nintendo Microsoft collaborations with Steve.
Right.
So
I'm with you though. Yeah, I think that whatever we see for the next Smash, whatever it's going to be, obviously they've spoiled us, and all these characters
Microsoft
have to come over.
Yeah,
and I think that I think there's a very good chance you see Master Chief.
I think there's a very strong chance in a future game. I think
it's kind of like one of my predictions for Switch 2 has been you will see the Master Chief collection on a Nintendo Switch system.
Absolutely agree. And I think it would be kind of to the detriment of Microsoft to not do that at launch, right? Because I'm not expecting at least like a big first party shooter game outside of like Metroid Prime 4, right? Which might end up getting like a Breath of the Wild type treatment where it's on both. I don't see like a big multiplayer shooter game being there near the beginning of launch. And outside of like your free to play things, right? You're like Fortnite, which will obviously be there day one. You could just like play the new Fortnite version that's on there. So I do feel like it would be smart of them to release Master Chief Collection as like your definitive first big shooter game experience for like the hardcore. Wow, you can actually play Halo on a Nintendo system that's mind-blowing and crazy. Like there's a lot of good opportunities for that. And again, I feel like Microsoft kind of needs to get Halo back in the zeitgeist. I don't think like Halo Infinite really took off in the way that they were expecting it to. I think they really thought this was going to be the big resurgence, and people are still hungry for like the early, Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3 days. And so I think this is a good way to sort of get it back in the conversation, to get Master Chief in there. Microsoft is down for it. I mean, they've already done Banjo-Kazooie and Cuphead costumes and Doom Guy Mii Fighter costumes and Steve. It's like they're more than willing to work with Nintendo. And we already know there's like so many other Microsoft games that'll probably be the Switch 2, ranging from, you got like Microsoft Flight Simulator is a big rumored one. You've got, there's going to be for sure be some new iteration of Minecraft that's on there. Whether it's like, how they had the PS4 and PS5 versions of Minecraft, there's probably going to be a Switch 2 version of Minecraft as well. So I'm sure that'll be on there.
Why would there not be?
Why would there not be? Exactly.
The Gears of War has been
Gears of War is a big rumored one.
Rumored a lot lately as well.
And Sea of Thieves as well is another one that people have been saying makes a lot of sense with Rare's history.
It's already over on PlayStation 5, right?
Exactly.
Ones. Hi-Fi Rush, although that studio's in a little bit of an odd place, but like,
well, the studio just recently got
studio came back, and they were very blunt that they were like, we want to get the game as many places as we can.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that was in the pipelines prior to the shutdown, so I wouldn't be shocked if like they were like, we were 50% there.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
I think this is such an awesome time to kind of like pivot in relation to Switch 2 conversation.
Yeah.
And really start to talk like, Roger, where are you at with Switch 2? We are less than 30 days away.
Yes.
What are the, hype levels, the big predictions? What are you thinking the timeline's going to look like as we kind of, begin to roll things out? Where's your headspace at? Because as a Nintendo fan right now, this is such a weird place, right?
It's strange.
It's such a strange, like, kind of like a fog over the Nintendo ecosystem right now.
Yeah.
This is the first time in 5 years we didn't have a February Direct.
Very strange.
Right? The sales numbers are dwindling down in relation to a hardware perspective. We see that.
Yep.
Nintendo had an interesting back half of the year, right? With Brothership and with Echoes, right? A very, very transitional year.
Yeah.
2024 for Nintendo. Obviously, a lot of excitement about our trailer, our release that we saw in January, only showing Mario Kart as a tease. The
Yep.
rest of it just being hardware, and we're slowly counting down to 2 days after the fiscal
Yep.
year end, and we're like going to blow the doors off. Where are you at? What are you thinking? What's kind of bubbling in your brain?
Where do you want to start? Because I've thought about this so much and I've done so many videos that I'm at a point where I could just like, what you ask me a topic and I will deliver you the answer.
Okay, let's start off with this. What are you anticipating we're going to see from Nintendo for first party reveals at the Direct?
I think the focus will be on the launch titles, obviously. I think there are going to be 3, if I had to guess, maybe 4. I think one that is a guaranteed lock no matter what is Mario Kart. I mean, that's like end of day. They showed it. They opened with it. This is historically what happens whenever you get the teaser trailer for the system. You get the game that gets shown there. That's the launch game. I mean, this happened. You saw the Switch teaser video that came out that September before the Switch presentation. What was the first thing you saw? Breath of the Wild. What ended up launching with it? Breath of the Wild. I feel like this is, again, 1-to-1, no doubt. Mario Kart is there. 2, I feel very strongly there is going to be some type of smaller first-party IP, either a multiplayer game or something that is like a WarioWare type deal, not necessarily WarioWare, but something along those lines that is going to fully utilize the mouse controls of these Joy-Cons. I think
like on the snipper clips level
exactly
of budget.
The
exactly.
tech demo game that we all
Joy-Con,
believe should be bundled in, but it ain't bundled in. We got to pay 60
your
bucks
1-2
for it.
switches, your snipper clips, like something along those lines, I think will be there, present, will be detailed in some way, and is going to utilize the mouse controls. I think I don't know like the overall thoughts on everybody. I know your guys' thoughts because I listen to the show and I know like some other like Kit and Krista's thoughts, but I don't know everybody's thoughts. But for me personally, I am so unbelievably excited about the mouse control thing. I think people are really downplaying, I think, how cool and how classic Nintendo this is without being gimmicky. Because the potential of having mouse controls doesn't just like extend to shooter games, right? Like obviously this is going to be amazing if you have gyro motion control for a Splatoon, but you can shoot with an actual like mouse. Incredible. Like for something like that, incredible. But think of something like a Pikmin. The fact that you can just mouse control, click your Pikmin and drag them to a different location instead of like aiming your little whistle and then holding the whistle down and pulling it back, like going to simplify that franchise even more, which is going to be super beneficial for it because now Pikmin is more popular than it's ever been. Pikmin 4 was very successful. Pikmin 4, the Pikmin franchise, right, is being pushed even like all the stores as one of their big franchises now. Like it's actually at the level of success that I think they want it to be, and I think they want it to be bigger. So I think Pikmin's another franchise you're going to see utilizing the mouse controls. Do I think it's going to be there in the presentation? I don't. I think it's maybe a little too early for Pikmin. As much as I would love that, I don't think Pikmin's going to be there. But I do think something related to mouse controls, smaller IP, either a new IP, which would be great, or something like a WarioWare, that's going to be there. That's going to be the second thing. The other thing that I think is going to be there, guaranteed, no doubt about it. I brought this in my videos. This isn't necessarily first party, but I do think it's going to be a big focus for this, is Elden Ring. I am certain Elden Ring is the Skyrim of this presentation. Remember back when they had that big third-party game where everyone was like, I can't believe this is here. This is so cool. I'm playing Skyrim on a Nintendo Switch. Like, this is amazing. I think that kind of dark fantasy action game that previously was not on a Nintendo system before, that's critically acclaimed and beloved, and also just so happened to have gotten a critically acclaimed DLC pack last year that is also, mind you, playable on a base PS4, leads me to believe there's no doubt in my mind, especially considering Nintendo's relationship with Bandai Namco, and that game is going to be there. Like, guaranteed, locked.
Odd thought I just had while we were sitting in this conversation,
Yes.
right? Because I do want to talk about third party,
Yeah.
right? We know that we had a lot of publishers basically say like, and I'm looking at you, EA, I'm looking at you, Ubisoft. We're like, yeah, we definitely missed that. We missed that shot.
Time out
right?
real quick. Time out real quick. I'm glad you said EA. Because this goes in line with the new IP potential smaller mouse control thing. You guys, thankfully, this is what I love about the Nintendo Dads audience, is I don't feel old compared to the little Gen Zers who were like, I grew up watching you on the Wii U, you know? So let me like, all right, exactly. So
Yeah,
exactly.
it's you making me feel old, Roger.
Exactly. Obviously, do you guys remember what one of the early Super Nintendo games was? That was
Sims.
what sim
SimCity.
exactly? What was it?
SimCity.
Right. SimCity was a Nintendo published version of SimCity that had Bowser, that had other Nintendo characters in it, other Nintendo IP, and Dr. Wright, the character of Dr. Wright, the mayor in that game, is wholly owned by Nintendo. There's no rights issue whatsoever with EA or with Maxis. That character is an assist trophy in every Smash Brothers game dating back to Brawl and has not been forgotten with time. I feel like if you want something that's weird, that takes advantage of the mouse controls, I feel like a city simulator is probably a pretty good bet. I think that's like a game that not a lot of people are talking about potentially making a comeback, but obviously The Sims is a massive, very successful, well-known casual IP. And I think it's a little too early for Animal Crossing, but I do think a new SimCity game developed by Nintendo utilizing the mice controls could also fall in that category of like the smaller IP that takes advantage of the mouse controls. And the other one is Mario Paint. I feel like people not bringing up Mario, especially during the 40th anniversary of Mario.
That was my prediction. There's
Mario
already a Mario
Paint-
Paint game.
I feel like Mario Paint is another one, especially again when you go to the Nintendo Museum and you see like how prominent Mario Paint DD was and like all these other Mario Paint games. I'm like, why is there so much love being put on Mario Paint? I think it's they're looking at the future a little bit.
So Roger,
Paint's
when you
making a
said
comeback.
something about going back to a very early SNES game that came
Yeah.
out that looked like it would use mouse controls,
Yes.
I'll go even back even further. I thought you were talking about the launch title Populous.
Oh, that would have been cool. Bring Populous back on Nintendo
Did
Switch too.
That game?
Yeah.
That is
wow.
an obscure game.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I don't think Populous is Nintendo published, is it?
No,
I
no,
believe
no,
it-
no.
Nintendo. Well, no, Nintendo published it, but Nintendo didn't develop it. I have to
No,
go
it
back and
was.
look.
I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll go
what-
back and look.
so
I
what-
actually-
deep
well, you-
cut.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
let's pick. I want to start picking around the fringes here, Roger, for a couple things, right?
one last first party
Yeah,
thing.
of
One more
course.
thing.
Oh,
Metroid Prime
Populous
4
is a
for sure
video
gonna be
game
there.
developed by Bullfrog Productions and published by Electronic Arts.
Whoa, what brings us back to the Sims conversation then? There you go. EA. No, I was going to say the other thing is too, I think Metroid Prime 4 will for sure be present in this presentation. I think that game is still going to be coming out for Switch, but I think will be a cross-release title in the way that there will be a Switch release of it and a Switch 2 release, not like an up-res version of it. I think they're going to be separate releases. And I also think the same thing with Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild 4K, pretty much a lock for this presentation. I don't know whether or not it's going to come at launch or like around the time of launch, but I do think that will be present in this as well. And again, I think it's going to be a separate release. It's not just going to be like an up-res thing. With that being said, my last first party thing that I think this should be pretty obvious to anybody, right? We're going to see 3D Mario here. I don't think it's a launch game by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's their big holiday game, but I think we are most definitely going to see what this game looks like at this presentation. And I kind of feel similarly for Splatoon as well. I think people kind of forget about Splatoon. Splatoon 2 was present during the original Nintendo Switch presentation very early on. Splatoon 3 has been done for over a year now at this point. You had that Final Fest that happened. So when you look at the timelines of when we would probably get a Splatoon, I mean, realistically, if they did a Splatoon release at like the end of summer, I wouldn't be completely shocked. They want to keep cranking those games out. I think that's like an early seller. And while there's a certain other multiplayer franchise that I would love to see before Splatoon, I think, in all honesty, Splatoon's a little more likely. So
what's
that's
the
the
release
extent.
date?
So the Switch 2?
Yeah, what's your prediction?
I'll give you the exact release date. I feel so confident about it. Maybe not $100 eShop confident, but I feel confident. I think the release date, if you look at the timeline of everything, I have to open up my actual calendar on here because I did some quick math. All right. We have these Nintendo Switch experiences that are coming up next month, right? In April. There's one in New York the week of the Direct. The Direct is the 2nd. The New York one is the 4th to the 6th. There's then one that's in Los Angeles from the 11th through the 13th. There's then a break week, the week of the 18th, all the way up to the 20th. And then the last one in North America is in Dallas from the 25th to the 27th, right? That takes us through all the stuff in April, all these Switch 2 experiences. But you have to remember, there's going to be worldwide experiences. And there are going to be some they're going to dip into a little past when I believe this thing is coming out. There's 2 in particular. There's one in Korea and I believe one in Hong Kong. All the other ones, though, are prior to the date that I'm about to give you, okay? Just keep all this in mind. Right after all those preview dates, there's a certain thing happening in early May that you had referenced earlier on the show, Justin, and that is PAX East. Now, Nintendo did a Nintendo Live at PAX historically about a year and a half ago. There has not been a Nintendo Live since. I think there's an opportunity for a Nintendo Switch 2 experience type dealie at PAX East that will be that weekend of the 8th, right? There's then 1 week, and if you look on the 22nd of May, do you guys know what's happening in the world of Nintendo on the 22nd of May? That is, I see Obi climbing in the background. He's coming in for the Nintendo Switch 2 news. The 22nd of May is the full launch of Nintendo World at Epic Universe in Orlando. That is the grand opening of Epic Universe. The media preview for Epic Universe is the 19th to the 22nd. That is the full media preview for all the influencers and all the media people to go try out the thing for themselves. It's always historically the week before, right? That weekend after, you get the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th. What's the 26th? Do you guys know? 26th of May is Memorial Day. Long 3-day weekend. You got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Friday, the day after Epic Universe's launch, but historically, they like to launch their systems on a Thursday. You have a grand historic reveal. The Nintendo Switch 2 launches on May 22. Switch 2 on 2/2 in May, which also, if you look at the timeline from when this Switch presentation is happening, date-wise, to when the Switch presentation happened way back in 2017 to the release of the original Switch in March, almost the exact same time frame in terms of the exact number of days would land the weekend of Memorial Day. I do not think that's a coincidence. I don't think the 2/2 is a coincidence. I don't think the dates of the Switch presentations being the month before are a coincidence. I feel like Charlie in Always Sunny in Philadelphia trying to put together the mailroom information. I'm telling you right now, conspiracy
I see the ciphers flying all around your head right now.
Place. I'm locking in May 22nd. That Thursday is the worldwide launch of Nintendo Switch 2.
This is why I love hanging out with Roger. Right? Because he literally begins to put pieces together as opposed to like, it feels like a June 4th.
No.
Right?
Also,
and I called early to mid-May.
Yes.
So we're not far off on that one.
Yeah. The other thing about that is, which is important, is that in June, early June, first full week of June is Summer Game Fest, right? There's going to be a lot of developers there, third-party developers that will want to announce and showcase their games. Guess what? Also coming to Nintendo Switch 2. So the thing, I feel like being in the hands of people prior to Summer Game Fest, which is our essential modern day equivalent of E3, where they announce all the big third-party games, all of those companies that are announcing their games could then also have the little logo, Switch 2. That's going to get so many more people excited, continue that hype bandwagon, move us all the way through summer. And again, I feel like that Memorial Day weekend is always a good time. That's like a good kickoff of summer. People are having their family barbecues. People are gathering together. People have their long weekends. They're off work. Like, it's the right time to do it. If you're going to have a Mario Kart game launch with this, and that's the perfect game to play with your family, is playing Mario Kart. Multiplayer, everybody's gathered around at the barbecue. Like, that's the game. That's the day. That's the game. That's when it's happening. And I'm like so locked on this date. I've heard other people discuss stuff, but like in my brain, that weekend of Memorial Day is just like, whether it's 22nd, 23rd, that time frame is like secure in my brain. Yeah.
So what I want to start doing now, Roger, is I want to start putting pieces together, right?
Great, let's hear it.
About some of the pieces that you've put out here, and I want to start asking for like a timeline.
Let's do it.
So what I'm hearing from you, May 22nd, and if you're wrong, you owe us all Switch 2s. So I appreciate that.
Correct.
So we're going to move forward.
Don't clip that. Don't clip that. I will not be fulfilling that bet.
So launch day, we're getting Mario Kart, right?
Yes.
And we're getting gimmick
Small
game,
first-party Nintendo game, and I also believe Metroid Prime 4. I do think Metroid Prime 4 drops both on Switch and Switch 2 same day launch day Nintendo Switch 2.
So here's what I think. I don't think so.
Why though? I want to hear this and I want to give my rebuttal.
So I think we start building out the calendar. We're going to build the calendar backwards, all right? So November is going to be Pokemon, because don't tell me it's not. Pokemon, look at me. Hey, you know the date.
It's November.
I know you know the date.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the date on the calendar, all right?
Yes.
Black Friday,
Yeah,
go
we went
back
through this
1
last
week,
week.
minus 1 day. Come on,
Yes.
you know the date. Don't screw with me.
Yes.
Third part or Mario is then going to be October.
I agree.
Mid to late October,
I
100%.
completely agree.
Now we've got this sweet spot in September,
Mm-hmm.
right? So an interesting space. We get a lot of good sales numbers out of it. This is where Dread was last time.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though.
This is
Real
where
quick.
Echoes was. I
Mm-mm.
think that's where I think that's where they put Metroid, and I'm willing to bet on it.
That is impressive, and I like the date thing, but here's the thing about Metroid specifically, right? Metroid is historically an incredibly niche franchise.
Correct.
Right? Incredibly niche. I think, if anything, would benefit from having a launch title, right? It's like being a launch game, being one of the few things that you can play day and date at the system, and they really want to push Metroid's popularity outside of that realm of a couple million that it's been at forever, which again, no testament against the quality of the games. Those games are incredible, right? But Metroid as a franchise has always been niche. If they want to really propel it out of that, I feel like being a launch game and having that be your definitive single player like hardcore experience, because again, Mario Kart's for everybody, and whatever the niche mouse title is going to be cute. But again, you got to think about what Metroid is. Metroid's a shooter, and with what the Switch 2 is showing off, the same way where we had like Twilight Princess, right? You could play Twilight Princess on a GameCube, sure, but the whole fun of Twilight Princess was doing this with your Wii remotes and doing this with your sword. I feel like a lot of that, and the stuff we're actually going to see showcased in this presentation when they're demoing like these mouse controls being played anywhere, I think is going to be Metroid. I think they're going to be demoing that, utilizing like how good it is to play a shooter game, utilizing mouse controls, and to have this big Nintendo franchise be the key. Now, for your September timeframe, a little franchise I brought up earlier that I said is for sure going to be in this presentation that also historically is like summer kind of game. Like that's for sure right there. Splatoon to me feels like
I think we're reversing that. And that's my reversal.
Let's hear it.
I think Splatoon is
Yes.
your launch shooter window that uses the mouse.
Ooh. The reason I argue that is because I don't think they want Splatoon competing with Mario Kart. I think you split the audience there. And again, Splatoon, hugely popular in Japan. But again, if they want to break it out of the somewhat niche that it has in North America, right? Like it's still hugely successful here, sells millions of copies, like not to downplay Splatoon's success. But Splatoon has always, in my opinion, been marketed incorrectly in North America. You had that first trailer for Splatoon where it's like, you're a kid now, you're a squid now, right? Then you had the Splatoon 2 one where it's just like, now you can play all these fun, they always use Nickelodeon voices and like goofy sound effects. And I don't think that's the direction they should be going in with North American marketing, because the kids are like, this looks like a kiddie game, I don't want to play this. And if they're going to play a kiddie game, they're going to want to play Mario Kart. And the adults are like, if I want to play a shooter, I'll go play Halo Master Chief Collection that's coming to Switch. Why would I play Splatoon? So I feel like Splatoon, it just seems more like something they would want a little bit more space between, because I believe there was about 3 months of space between Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Splatoon 2's launch as well.
Yes, Splatoon 2 is in July.
Right. So I feel like that break is kind of needed to separate those two franchises. I don't think
if you launch Mario Kart and Splatoon at the same time, you're gonna do the same thing that happened with ARMS when it launched. You're gonna cannibalize sales of one of those. Because most people are going to have to choose one of the two,
right?
Because they're also purchasing a brand new console at the same time, and all the accoutrements that go with it: a case, a screen protector, a brand new micro SD card. Personally, I think that Splatoon is more likely for a September.
Yeah, that's what that's exactly, and that makes sense.
Sales because of the like gap there, because you've got your summer, you're coming out of summer, everybody's settling back down. You have Splatoon, then you go straight to Pokemon, and you finish out the year strong.
Yes. I also agree with the fact that you have to remember and take into consideration, you brought up Pokemon earlier, right? With November, that game is an original Switch game that is also obviously going to be playable on Switch 2. They did not say, nor do I believe that game is going to get a Switch 2 version. Pokemon historically, with new systems, right? With the Black and White 2. Black and White 2 came out on DS after the 3DS had already been released. And there was no 3DS version of it. There was that rumor Pokemon Stars was going to be coming. Remember this? With Sun and Moon, and Stars was going to be, and that never came to fruition. Pokemon, for as much as people want to rumor monger about it, that does not happen. Pokemon does what Pokemon does. And the game might look better and run better on Switch 2, but it's going to be a Switch release. Now, if Pokemon is November, and in your assumption, you said Metroid would be September, right?
Yeah.
That leaves a gap of nothing from now until September for the original Switch. And the fact of the matter is, I do think if you have a somewhat cross release and the game is still playable on Switch, but now the difference is if you have it on Switch 2, it's in 4K and you have mouse controls, that's enough of a selling point where I think people would jump ship for that title who want a more hardcore experience. Because again, these people are going to be buying Mario Kart anyway. And I don't see a risk of cannibalization with Metroid because the audience is somewhat different. I think with like a Splatoon, the audience is kind of similar to Mario Kart. And even like with Marty was saying about ARMS, that's true in a sense, right? That there's a little bit of that where there's a little bit of overlap. But realistically, ARMS, to put this in perspective, I think I made this tweet. Don't quote me on this. Someone fact check this on me, right? But I believe ARMS sold better than every Metroid game not named Prime and Dread. Literally every other Metroid game. Every other single one was outsold by ARMS. And that was due to the fact that it was bolstered by being one of those early releases. It was a new
sold
IP.
2.7 million.
There you go. So literally, it sold very well for what it was.
Dread, the best-selling Metroid game, just barely over 3.
There you go. So like I said, I think Dread and Prime are the only two that outsold ARMS. Every other Metroid game has been outsold by ARMS. So I think having that bolster of being in that launch window by being a niche title and having that early launch hype is exactly what Nintendo needs for Metroid Prime. I really feel very strongly that that's it. If it is not a launch title, at the very least, bare bones minimum, we are going to see that game in the presentation in April. I have no doubt about it. Lock it in. Guarantee we're seeing it.
I 100% believe we're going to see it in April. No doubt.
Yeah.
I believe they're just going to put it in September. But I will also say I think you have a very solid argument and understanding. So I respect it. And
I get your September though. I think I would buy that if Switch was not still existing without it. I think here's what I'll say, because I'm trying to find the right way to word this. I feel like had the February Direct happened and a couple certain things gotten announced during the February Direct, I would have maybe been more on your September train for Metroid. But because we didn't get that February Direct and we didn't get that Genealogy remake announcement, we didn't get Wind Waker Twilight Princess HD, something is saying to me like that I think their summer thing.
Yeah, and so I mean, one of the questions I had for you as well is like we are very quickly casting to Switch 2, but the Switch 1 is still on life support. Games should still be rolling out. We have 152 million install base. What do you anticipate we're going to see for OG Switch for the next year? What's sort of your, obviously we know Pokemon.
I think
right?
Metroid Prime is
summer. Metroid Prime,
launch day with Switch 2, Metroid Prime. I think Pokemon is going to be their big holiday thing. I think you scatter in a couple re-releases, remasters, things like your Kirby Robobots, your Wind Waker HDs, things they've been sitting on, whatever. And then I think you also have that remake of Genealogy. Because again, Echoes released on 3DS a year into the Switch's lifespan, if I remember correctly, right? Echoes was like March of 2018, I believe, for 3DS. I could be misremembering that, but it's like around the time either Switch was just out or had been out for about a year by the point that Echoes had released on 3DS. So because of that, I believe if they're going to do another like Fire Emblem remake type game, I believe that would be for Switch 1, playable on Switch 2. And I think they're making like a full new Fire Emblem, but I don't think we're going to see that for Switch 2 anytime soon. But I do think that that remake game will probably fit nicely into that little niche. And of course, we're still going to get NSO games, scattered throughout for Super Nintendo and Nintendo and all that stuff.
One of the other big things that I believe in this Direct, which we will be shocked about, but not really shocked about when we think about it, is the intensity and the amount of third-party games that are going to be showed off in this Direct.
I agree.
And so I'd love to sort of sit in this pocket and ask you, like, what are you expecting from third-party developers to show? But obviously, you talked about Elden Ring sort of being our point in relation to Final Fantasy VII.
Lock it in. This I would be willing to make a stake bet about. I feel so unbelievably confident after Cloud and Sephiroth and Smash Brothers, and knowing that the original Final Fantasy remake was a PS4 game, and having seen the low-res settings version of Rebirth running off of a Steam Deck just fine, not having the same issues something like a Monster Hunter Wilds is having, right? Rebirth is working just fine on Steam Decks. I believe fully Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out this year on Switch. Switch 2, excuse me. It's going to be on Switch 2 this year. It gets announced during this presentation. Lock it in. Guaranteed will be happening this year. Guaranteed.
Now,
I think
one of the questions I have for that is like, do we envision this being a physical version?
Yes.
And then with a like, the
mandatory install. Yes.
Chip is 32 gigs, but by the way, if you got 60 gigs, you have to do a mandatory install.
Fully 100% believe that'll be the case. Yes. Okay. I think remake is a lock. Like, no doubt about it in my mind, will be here. I think not only in terms of Square and Nintendo's relationship currently, but also in terms of like that game and the recent stories that came out with Rebirth, where they've said we now really actively no longer want to hinder our fan base. And with the third game, we're looking to get it on as many consoles as possible. I think that's important that they specifically mentioned that right after all these rumors started coming out about, wanting to put that thing on Switch 2, putting Remake and Rebirth on Switch 2.
Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people I don't think are thinking about yet is if this thing does go 4K, those high-res texture models are going to be a lot of space.
Yes.
And we're going to see 50 to 100 gig games on the Switch 2, and that will be weird to talk about.
But I think it is a situation of like a physical cart with a mandatory install, like download type thing. But I think no doubt about it, Remake is there. Like, lock it in for sure. Feel very confident about it. And I also think the timeline is sort of correct for it. If you think about from the, like, again, I love Nintendo, but like I play other games, right? From the perspective of like what's going on with anniversaries, this year, if they were to release Remake and next year they release Rebirth, that would coincide with the approximate estimated release date of Part 3 to coincide with the anniversary of Final Fantasy VII in 2020, you guessed it, 7. So if you have one Final Fantasy game on Switch 2 being released from this trilogy to then build up to having the third part of the remake be on Switch 2 in addition to PC and Xbox and PS5, that's one and done. And I realistically think they're not going to be doing that big of a jump from the third game as they did from the second to the first. Well, the first game came out exclusively on PS5, did not come initially, right? Did not come out on PS4. But with what you're looking at and having them proven that this game can run on a Steam Deck and knowing that the Switch 2 is probably going to be about as powerful as a Steam Deck, like knowing what we know, probably like a base Steam Deck. It's probably going to be at that power level. And knowing that Rebirth runs and knowing that Square's like actively looking to optimize the game to play it as many places as possible, no doubt in my mind, no doubt, we're not only going to get the third part in 2027, we're going to get part 1 and part 2, and that we're going to see part 1 at the presentation. I think Nintendo, knowing the history with Square, the whole original relationship of Final Fantasy VII, how that was the whole reason that Square jumped ship and went to Sony, that they had the original demo of 7 running on the Nintendo 64 at the Space World. People were so excited. This is their make good moment, right? This is the ultimate make good moment beyond something like Crystal Chronicles, how big of a deal that was in the GameCube era, beyond Sora and Cloud and Sephiroth and Smash Brothers. This is the actual make good. This is the, hey, we are announcing our next system. And during our presentation announcing our next system, the highlight of our reel of third-party games ends with Cloud standing in front of Shinra Building, holding the Buster Sword, that iconic scene from Final Fantasy VII, and that remake is coming to Switch 2. So that, I think, is like the #1 most solid, guaranteed beyond Elden Ring, third-party game that's going to be there is Final Fantasy Remake. Okay. Yeah.
Is there any other ones that sort of you think of some of the big dogs, right? We've got Capcom obviously having a really good run right now with Monster Hunter. EA and Ubisoft, as I mentioned earlier, very much were an organization that both actively said later, oh shoot, we missed being there. Stockholders are not happy with us. We're going to try and get there as quickly as we can, right? We've got an Assassin's Creed coming up here in March. Split Fiction just released this week from EA. What do you think about some of those other developers and publishers sitting around?
Assassin's Creed will for sure be there in some capacity. There always is. I mean, there was one even on Wii U, so I feel like that is probably going to be there. That rumored package collection of Mario Rabbids seems like a safe bet for Ubisoft. I think with EA, we talked about SimCity a little bit as being like a potential cool way to integrate them. I also just feel in general that I feel a lot of people are skipping over this, but it's like, all these rumors seem to be coming true about that Gamescom presentation and rumors that were coming out around that. One of the big rumors around that time was Red Dead Redemption 2 being on Switch 2. And the original Red Dead Redemption is on Switch and sold very well. So I feel like, to me, that's probably another safe bet, is that we'll see Red Dead Redemption. Another series that apparently has sold quite well on Switch, despite the fact that they were actively against putting it on Switch because it's a kiddie system. But now they're like, whoa, we're making money. Let's see. Is
Like a
Yakuza.
dragon?
Yeah. Yakuza Kiwami came out last year on Switch, sold very well, and they were like, well, wait a minute, we've got all these other Yakuza games now we're sitting on. We've got more powerful hardware. A bare bones PC can run the new one, which is Pirates in Hawaii, right? Why not bring over like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Pirates in Hawaii? I think those Yakuza games, like another really easy early win from Sega to then bring over to the system. And then in terms of Capcom, you bring up a really good point, is Capcom, right? Street Fighter 6. We have been waiting on another console release for Street Fighter 6. It still hasn't happened yet. I feel like this would be the opportunity to do it. There's a history of a relationship with Street Fighter on Nintendo platforms dating back to Super Nintendo, dating back to like the definitive version of Street Fighter 2. You then had Street Fighter 4. Some people forget this. That was on 3DS in the launch year of 3DS.
They had that weird 45-degree
exactly.
Camera
exactly. Thing. And so I think Street Fighter 6 is an almost guaranteed lock for launch year for Switch 2. Will almost definitely be in that presentation. And the other big franchise that I think is pretty much like a no-brainer is Resident Evil. Resident Evil, historically, great relationship with Nintendo. RE4 started off as a GameCube exclusive. RE Remake, which is still beloved to this day, started off as a GameCube exclusive. There's a rumored remake going around of the Resident Evil 0, which is originally a GameCube game that's apparently in development. That potentially being the next title would make a lot of sense to be on Switch 2. And they're sitting on 3 other games. They already have the cloud version of Village that you could play on Switch now. You can literally go play the cloud version right now. Now, do you want to? No, of course not. Terrible. But you can play the cloud version. I think there's going to be like actual physical real versions, maybe with mandatory installs, of RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, probably RE4 Remake as well. And again, that upcoming, not yet announced, but almost definitely happening, RE0 Remake. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Tons of stuff there.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one more at you just for your own question here.
Let's hear it.
Do we see GTA?
No.
Too far out, eh?
I think the thing is, their little breadcrumbs, their olive branch is Red Dead Redemption 2. I think that's Rockstar's thing is, hey, look, you're giving you Red Dead Redemption 2, but like, don't get ahead of yourselves, Nintendo. I don't think, with how big they're trying to make that game and how next gen they're trying to make that game, I don't see a world, at least at first, in which they parse down a version of the game for a system that does not run at the capabilities of something like a PS4 Pro or the high-end Xbox or the high-end PCs that they want that game to like wow on. So I know some people want it to happen. I just don't see a world in which it will. One thing I think we could get, though, in terms of GTA, maybe GTA 5. Maybe this is when GTA 5 happens, right? There are olive branches. Hey, you've been playing GTA 5 for a decade. GTA 6 is coming out, but like, sure, Nintendo fans go crazy and they give them another copy of GTA 5 to sell another 20 million, Yeah. I could see that, but I don't think GTA 6 has any even chance of being on this thing. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I also... one other thing, I also don't think we're seeing Monster Hunter. I know that's a big one that's on a lot of people's lists. Obviously Monster Hunter, great relationship with Nintendo. I have been playing Wilds for about 35 hours. I love the game. The game does not run on a Steam Deck. Literally cannot run. It is absolutely horrible on a Steam Deck. And I think realistically, Nintendo and Sony and their separate relationships with Capcom and with the Monster Hunter teams, there's 2 separate teams, right? You've got the Worlds team that then went on to make Wilds. You had the Rise team that made Sunbreak. And those games eventually were on all the other platforms, but they started on each of the respective ones, right? I think we're going to see a situation come next year, maybe a year after, in which there is a dedicated Monster Hunter game that launches as an exclusive for Switch 2 that eventually comes to other consoles. I do not think Wilds is going to be that game. I think Wilds is going to mostly stay, especially knowing all this stuff with crossplay and like with Xbox already, how convoluted it is with like you want to play with PlayStation versus Xbox for PC. I don't think they're going to want to throw another one in the mix. And I think Capcom's got like plenty of stuff they could throw at Nintendo to make them satisfied and to support Switch 2 without diving into the Monster Hunter well and being able to sort of hold on to that nugget until about a year and a half, maybe 2 years into the system's launch cycle to actually announce a dedicated one for the system. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I think the other
Okay.
thing we kind of talked about it earlier, but I'll just say it as well. I fully believe that Microsoft will basically roll
Yes.
up with a dump truck and pour
Yes.
all of their IPs out and just say, they are all yours. Please take and
Yes.
use them, abuse them however you want. I
Yes.
think will be the other thing we see from them. I don't think anything is off the table for them at this point, and Phil has openly said that. And the relationship with Nintendo, I think is great. I think we'll see a first look. I think we'll see a first look at Call of Duty.
Oh yes, that is. I think it'll be in a sizzle reel. I don't think
Yeah.
Nintendo's going to
Oh,
want to
for
focus
sure.
on it, but I definitely for sure believe that that'll happen as well. Considering that whole lawsuit that then came out and the whole thing with the acquisition, them making a point of being like Call of Duty's going to be on Nintendo systems now. That'll for sure be there.
Yeah.
One other smaller one that I forgot to mention in terms of third parties that I also think is important to bring up. Many of you might remember, or some of you might have forgotten, there was a game called Dragalia Lost that came out for phones many
Mhm.
years ago that was published by Nintendo, developed by Cygames. Cygames is the developer of Grand Blue Fantasy, another very popular, a mobile game. Grand Blue Fantasy, right, is a fighting game developed by Arc System Works that traditionally has put their fighting games on Nintendo consoles. We've got the new Hunter x Hunter and Impact that's going to be coming out, published by Arc System Works a little bit later this year for the Switch. We had Dragon Ball Fighter Z coming on Switch as well. Grand Blue Fantasy just got a new edition with Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising that is on PC. That game is very popular. A lot of people within the fighting game community love it, and Nintendo has a relationship with Cygames already. I would not be surprised to see Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising as like if there's not a Street Fighter 6 type situation, like the de facto early adopter fighting game for the system. And I could also see, knowing that relationship with Nintendo, them potentially doing like a version exclusive a la like what happened with Soul Calibur with Link, where they maybe throw in the Dragalia Lost protagonist for the Nintendo Switch 2 version. Excuse me, of Grand Blue. I've been talking too much. I need to drink some water.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, there's tons that we're waiting on. Obviously, we're gonna, like Justin said, less than 30 days. We're gonna know way more than we know now. I think
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward for that to be a pretty substantial production that Nintendo is doing that day. I don't think it's just going to be like a little 30-minute thing. I
I agree.
expect we're in line to get something more akin to the Switch's reveal when it was like simulcast across the world from Japan, and they're
Yep.
showing the Joy-Cons off for the first time and all that they can do. And there's going to be different segments and stuff that I mean, we've done a lot of speculating here, but stuff that we probably would never even predicted will be shown in that as well. Guys, here's what we're going to do on the show this week. We're going to go ahead and skip over our what we've been playing segment, and we're going to go straight into our community spotlight.
Cool.
Yep. Do it.
And of course, our community spotlight is always where we highlight your comments and questions, but also when we have a guest on the show, it's a chance for them to talk about what they do and where you can find them. If you've enjoyed the discussion going on here, maybe they've said something that's piqued your interest, you want to check out their content. So, Roger, tell our folks, because you said it's been a long time.
It has been,
And we
yeah.
realize that like you're a very busy, very popular person,
I've been running around.
and we're just thankful you could be on the show tonight. How do people find you? Tell people what you do and where they can find you and interact with your content.
Sure. You could find me on YouTube, on Twitch, on all the different social media platforms. I'm at Rogers Base. I'm very easy to find. ROGERSBASE. Again, I upload tons of different reactions to Nintendo content, news prediction videos. I love doing a good solid prediction. Whenever there's like a director, I know one's coming up, I'm like, prediction video time. If you enjoyed this episode, I feel like you'll probably enjoy a lot of the prediction stuff. Again, I got one coming up very soon for the Mario movie. I've got a cool thing coming up for the Virtual Boy anniversary that's going to be fun. I've got some other cool Nintendo things cooking. And then, of course, I will be live reacting to the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation. But I'm doing something different this time around, which I don't even think you guys know. This is kind of like a exclusive little thing. So normally I go live about 30 minutes before the directs, talking predictions, hanging out with people, whatever. this sort of is like this, you know, we only get so many Nintendo system launches in our life cycle, right? So I
This
feel
will be
like
like
this is a big,
six. You're Pacific, right?
I'm Pacific. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like 6 a.m. your time.
Yeah. So it's 6 a.m. my time. So I figured, you know what? Plus, I'm going to be flying out to New York the next day anyway. I'm like, I want to do something special. So I'm going to be live on YouTube starting at midnight on April 2nd. And I'm going to be live for 6 hours answering Nintendo questions, doing tier lists, bringing on guests, having final discussions, like a one last big hurrah for the Nintendo Switch. And then that will go directly into the big final reaction presentation for the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation, and, you know, uploading all the reactions spliced out from that, uploading those videos. But it's going to be a 6 hour long, big, like almost like a telethon type thing, in honor of like not only the end of the Switch's life cycle, but the birth of this new cycle of Switch 2. So super looking forward to putting that together. Obviously, there will be a segment in which I would love to have the Nintendo dads on. I gotta still like put through all my stuff where I'm planning out who's coming on when, and people aren't stepping on people's toes, and there's enough people where there's gonna be room for stuff, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm actively looking forward to it. I can't believe we're like 30 days away. That's insane. But I got some work I got to do. So
That's awesome.
And again, as always, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. I love coming in. And again, I told you guys off camera, but I mean it. I listen to you guys all the time. You're such a cozy, fun, little happy group of little Nintendo dads. It brings me joy whenever I listen to you. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. So thanks for having me.
One of the other things I would definitely recommend to direct our audience to, and Roger, you alluded to it a couple of times as well. You had such a unique opportunity, I think it was in September, right, to head over to Kyoto and actually be there pre the actual museum opening.
This was before the museum. Oh, I actually have a funny story I could tell.
Sure, yeah.
For your audience. I found out from the curator's mouth at the museum that the reason that there's a section dedicated to prototypes there is because they watched my reaction to the Nintendo Museum Direct, and I said I wanted prototypes.
Wow.
Really?
The curator of the museum came up to me and said, I watched you, I watched a couple other YouTubers, we watched your reactions. We knew specifically that you wanted prototypes. You had an image of, because you go back and watch my old Museum Direct, I pulled up an image of, it was like the old Star prototype controller for the Wii. And I said, I would love to see that at the museum. They literally went to the actual archives in Kyoto, got the controller and put it in the museum so it would be there by the time I saw it at the preview.
Awesome.
That to me was like the coolest, most mind-blowing thing. Like knowing the curator had seen my reaction, I was like,
no kidding.
Dude, it's done.
Awesome.
I'm done. I'm chilling now.
Yeah, I would encourage folks, if you haven't, go watch that video.
Exactly.
It is absolutely fantastic. Obviously,
thank you.
Incredibly excited for you. Obviously, very jealous as well. But such an amazing opportunity, such a great content piece as well, Roger. And I think it really was like, and I think in some ways, to Jesse's point, very peak Roger, right? Like this
felt
is
very peak Roger, yeah.
This is very much what I want. You know, when I watch reaction videos after direct, there's only a few people I go to. You are one of them to see those reactions. And I think it was just such fantastic. Whenever we have conversations with you, your passion as a Nintendo fan is so wonderful and so wholesome and genuine. So
I appreciate
thank you for making your time today with us.
That also reminds me, if you enjoyed that Nintendo Museum video, I've literally been working on it since I was in Kyoto, but I have not had time to upload it with all the games coming out. I'm also working on a video from my stay at the Marufukuro Hotel in Kyoto,
nice.
Which was, for those of you who don't know, Marufukuro is basically the cool, like, luxury hotel owned by the Yamauchi family that is built inside of the old Nintendo headquarters building that's in old Kyoto. I had the pleasure of staying there 3 days. This was not Nintendo sponsored. This was out of Roger's Base's pocket, but it was worth it. I got to like dine at the restaurant, do a full walk through the whole hotel, like history of the building. It's going to be a really good video along the lines of that museum video. And I want to get it out before the Switch 2 presentation. I honestly don't know if I'm going to have time, but it is coming soon at the very least. That is a video that's coming up as well.
I'm going to have to pick your brain. We're likely going to Japan next April. The entire family for like 10 days.
You have to go to Kyoto.
So I may pick your brain about where to go and what to see.
Please, by all means. I will. Wherever you're going in Japan, this is going to be, I'm going later this year. It'll be my 4th trip. And I've been to enough of the areas where I think you're going to be frequenting, where I like feel confident enough in my suggestions. Yeah.
Okay. Love it. Love it.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, definitely go check out Roger's content. You also don't do just Nintendo content. You
I
have
don't.
other content as well.
I do.
Uh,
Yeah, anime and manga reviews. I do One Piece every Sunday alongside the official release. We get a new chapter of the One Piece manga. There's new episodes every week. And so we sort of do big celebration streams every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, reacting to the new chapters as they're published, talking about theories, talking with the live chat community, and a lot of them are Nintendo fans as well. So I think there's a really good amount of crossover, which is nice. And yeah, again, I also do other gaming content too. I don't just cover Nintendo, Yakuza, Monster Hunter Wilds, Final Fantasy, obviously. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's all kind of in the realm of anime and gaming, but again, Nintendo is my first and most important love. I feel like, if it was a Sophie's Choice situation and they were like Nintendo, One Piece, or, one of your other favorite things, obviously Nintendo's taking the cake. So
Nice.
yeah.
as it should.
And Marty, we've got a
As
couple
it
questions
should.
specifically
Exactly.
for Roger too, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And
Let's hear it.
we'll get to those in just a second. Want to remind people of something coming up. Charlie's Epicon is coming up in Fort Myers, Florida. This is a show that is going to be hosted by one of our executive producers, Jacqueline Amira. That's going to be on April 6th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be held at the Doubletree on Bell Tower Drive in Fort Myers. And definitely want to remind you about that, to go by and check that out if you're in the area. And also, PAX East is coming up very soon as well. May 8th. 3 out of 4 of the Nintendo dads will be there. I'm the lame one that's not going to get to make it. But they are going to go and provide some fantastic content. Uh, Ironically, we did ask if we could do a panel there. And Justin, what was the answer to that?
No.
Why?
No panel.
Did they
Yeah,
give a
we got-
reason? Was just too busy?
We got a very nice response back, which was there are a tremendous amount of panels that we would
Right.
love for everyone to be able to do them. Unfortunately, right, that kind of stuff. So we had a panel format sort of ready, but that happens. But I would say this: we're not doing an official panel. But if you're going to PAX East, let us know. Connect with us. We want to connect with you. We want to hang out with
100%.
you. We want to go for dinner with you. We want to have beers with you, pictures with you. Whatever you want to do, we are there as community to be part of it. So, yeah, we may just end up having informal. Hey, here's a chair, here's a corner. Let's have a conversation. Whatever that looks like, we are there, and so let us know how we can engage with you. We're excited. We think it's such a great opportunity to celebrate 500 episodes, 10 years. And it's wonderful. So please
On
let
the
us know.
topic of panels, it's a little too late now, but it reminded me, I'm going to be at C2E2 doing a panel in
Nice.
April.
Nice.
Literally right after going to the New York Switch 2 presentation. So I'm going to be going and talking about my experience about Switch 2. Dude, you guys should absolutely submit for C2E2. It's like middle of the country. It's in Chicago. It's like the big comic and video game convention that happens every year. It's run by the same company that does New York Comic Con. Again, it's like centralized, so it's much easier to get to than like being on either West Coast or East Coast. You guys should absolutely submit for that when submissions go out for the next year, because I think they would totally love to have you.
Oh, that's great.
And
Yeah.
I go every year. So selfishly, I would like to see you guys have a panel so that I could see you.
Chicago's a lot easier to do than Boston.
Yeah, significantly.
For a lot of people. Yeah,
Cheaper, too.
awesome. We'll check that out. Okay, so a couple questions directed directly at you, Roger. Here we go.
Let's hear it. Let's go.
Quagmire says, how excited is Roger for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition? I believe I've seen some of his reaction videos to other Xenoblade games.
Yes, I am very happy. I put, I think, 125 hours into the original version of Xenoblade Chronicles X. Unfortunately, I never 100%ed it because when I moved from my first place here in LA to my second place, my external hard drive for my Wii U got corrupted and I lost my save file for that, for Monster Hunter Ultimate 3, for Xenoblade Chronicles X, for Smash Brothers, and for Splatoon. And I literally never touched my Wii U again, got rid of it, and I literally never looked back. And at that point, like, Switch was already coming out, and I was done. But so I'm super excited to revisit it now that it's been so long, and actually play through the game again. There is a new upcoming story thing, like a new epilogue type deal that's happening. But the difference this time around is you have to beat the main game before jumping into the new content. So if I want to play that on stream, I have to basically no life off stream the rest of Xenoblade X because I cannot justify streaming 80 hours of that game with my schedule that's coming up. It's just not going to happen. But I will absolutely be playing more of it, and I will almost definitely stream the epilogue portion once I get to the point where I can.
Very cool. Nintendaddy says, for Roger, are we more likely to get another One Piece Odyssey-like game in the future or a new One Piece Warriors? Also,
I have bad news on that first front, but go ahead, continue.
Okay. Also, what is your ideal One Piece game that you'd like to see made? Wish I snuck on the show tonight to talk One Piece.
So first thing, I would say my ideal One Piece game is Wind Waker. Like literally, you're sailing the seas, going to different islands, solving puzzles, good action. Like that's what I would want. I would want like a One Piece game styled like Wind Waker, not in the visual style, obviously, like in the visual style of One Piece, but where you're sailing on the Going Merry, the Thousand Sunny, you're going through the different story arcs, maybe an original story. The bad news is that I do not think we're getting a One Piece Odyssey or anything like that anytime soon. I don't know if you guys reported on this in the news section on one of your previous episodes, but they recently announced that they're actually going to be doing additional DLC for Pirate Warriors 4. So they've announced a whole new DLC set in which people can vote on characters they want to see in Pirate Warriors 4, which is on Nintendo Switch, which I streamed in entirety on my YouTube channel. I love that game. Really fun Muso game. But the problem and the reason why they're doing that is because a lot of the teams that were developing those games internally at Bandai Namco were recently laid off. And so Odyssey, I think, was a bit of a sales disappointment. They did eventually release Odyssey on Switch. I don't know sales-wise how it did. I didn't hear much about it, so my assumption is that it didn't sell particularly well. But I knew they were doing a big marketing push for it, and I'm sure it didn't hurt to have it on Switch. Probably should have it on Switch in the first place. And I don't think we're getting anything else One Piece, like Ultimate Grand Adventure, Battle Festival related anytime soon. I know that there has recently been like a PC port of Bounty Rush, which was previously mobile only, that is now going to be coming to PC. Maybe that ends up coming to Switch or Switch 2 or whatever as like a port. But again, I feel like unfortunately a lot of those anime licensed teams at Bandai Namco are no longer in existence, have either been disbanded or are working on additional DLC for projects that have already been successful that they're just like going to bolster for that IP. So yeah, unfortunately, probably not happening anytime soon to get an Odyssey 2 or anything like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, that wraps up episode 518 of
Before we
Nintendo
wrap, going back to when we talked about Populous for a little bit.
Yes.
There was a question about who published it. It looks like in Japan and Europe, published by Imagineer, specifically the Super Nintendo version.
Okay.
In North America, Acclaim of all people, of which
Really?
Acclaim is back apparently.
That's right.
Recently, so
Acclaim being resurrected by none other than the wrestler Jeff Jarrett.
Is it really?
Yes. He's on the board or as part of helping resurrect Acclaim.
I'm trying to remember. Acclaim, obviously they did not Fast GX. Fast GX is the one that's on. Fast RMX is the one that's on Switch. What's the game that recently came? GeForce. The game that was on N64 NSO. That was Acclaim, right? Iggy's Wrecking Balls, which I mentioned earlier, also an Acclaim game. So a lot of those Acclaim titles are actually making their way to NSO.
Back in the day, Acclaim, they were actually really good. I mean,
they good stuff.
They did Mortal Kombat. They did NBA Jam.
Rampage, I believe, right?
Yes. I mean, they had San Francisco Rush. They had several good IP, like popular things. And so
Populous might make its way to the Switch, the Switch Super Nintendo Online or whatever. They'll get rid of Super Soccer, they'll throw Populous on there.
Yeah,
instead.
Populous. 2 people will play it. I'll be one of them.
I will remember when that gets announced in like 5 months in some random Wednesday tweets. I will be like, Nintendo Dads, they said it, they called it. Yeah. They owe me a $99 eShop card now.
Don't clip that.
Great minds think alike. Guys, this has been episode 518 of Nintendo Dads. Roger, huge thank you for being on the show this week.
Always you guys for having me on again.
Fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
Wonderful conversation every time you're here. It's always too, and I think about this, is always our longest episodes when you're here. Because, and I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, it's just a good conversation. It's hard to cut off, right? But anyway, as we close out the show, I want to say a huge thank you to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger and Jacqueline Amira, as well as our other 100+ patrons. Also, special thanks to those that are Twitch Prime subscribers and almost 1,500 Twitch followers and nearing very, very close to 7,900 YouTube subscribers. Basically, it's thank you to everybody. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. NintendoDads.org is where you can go to find out about our family of podcasts, as well as other recommended podcasts like Star Wars Dads, Mega Dads, Dad Crossing, Retro Logic, and all their family of podcasts. And you can go to YouTube and check out all the cool swag that Justin just got recently. Pokemon controllers and headphones and all kinds of stuff, as well as weekly videos, almost daily videos. It also has links to our social media, Patreon, and Extra Life, and merch over there. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Manscaped.com, where you can get 20% off your order and free shipping with the code NINDADS. That's NINDADS. Treat yourself. Be sure to do that. Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Huge thanks to OC Remix for the music we use throughout the show. And a reminder, wherever you download us or catch us in your podcatcher of choice, for the audio version, please leave us a 5-star review and some comments. It helps push us up the charts, helps people find the dads, and just, man, makes the world a better place. So this has been episode 518. It's been a blast. Thanks, Roger, again for being on the show. For me, for Jesse, for Justin, and Roger, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Not combo.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Do you know